truck and turn it up, it's time for the show. JB and JC and Mad Dog Mully, it's a power three for these amigos. A lunchtime meet and treat, a power trio. With guests and fans that really rock, it's time to talk 3 hours about those damn Gamecocks. So grab a sandwich, soup, or beer, and let's go. It's time for the show. Oh no, it's time for TG, the Gamecock Show.
And gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Built by the Barndominium Company, presented by Resto Pros of the Midlands, and part of the Chief Sports Network.
Touchdown Carolina! Touchdown Ace Sanders! Pressure, and he just dives in!
Here's J.C. Sherbert, Phil Wollinax, and Jamie Bradford.
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard and welcome home, and happy Halloween. Inside the Gamecocks, the show, built by the Barndo Co. and presented by our friends at Resto Pros. There.
JC, you're getting a little too comfortable in that attire, my man.
Hey, y'all were not theater kids. You can tell this.
I had to
There's
fix
nothing
the
wrong with
wig
it.
this morning and put my contacts in like 12 minutes. So it was a quick change. So if my lipstick's a little messed up, I apologize.
So before you get into the top of the show, JV,
There when you need them, Resto Pros.
put that fire out. But Tuesday night on the show, JC randomly sent me a picture of him dressed like this at a bar with Nat, and I couldn't focus for 5 minutes. That image was burned into my brain.
You can't.
Well,
we were talking about it
photo.
yesterday. You can't unsee it.
I was.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Hey, I won the contest.
Oh, you damn, you ought to.
I mean,
There was no way. We came in later than everybody else, and we walk in and we're regulars. Everybody knows us. I mean, we weren't even going, right? Because we used to go to bingo Tuesday nights, but I mean, during the season, it gets so stressful because high school season's over, thankfully, but we had to go to high school game. It's just like, look, let's just not do that during the week. It just was too busy. And so we were like, okay. So then we're in the grocery store on Sunday, and we run into our friend Mary Ann, who runs the bingo, and she laid just a huge guilt trip. But then mentioned there was a costume contest for $40.
You did. Whoa. And we'll get to Mr. Penis here in a second himself. But you did all of this for $40.
I was I'm competitive, you know.
Is it a gift card or is it actual like cold hard?
I do. It's smidged a little bit, but yeah, I had to put it on quickly because I finally Nat texted me and told me how to. The wig was broken, so I was going to bag the whole thing. And then I felt bad when I saw Phil had his hat on because he sent we got a pre picture of that, and I was like, I can't let my boy be the only one dressed up because I know you two weren't, and I know Mike Morgan won't at all, and I know our guest won't, but I was like, I can't let Phil be alone. So I texted him. I was like, how do I fix this? And of course, it's an easy fix, as I knew. So I raced in. I had to, put my contacts on because the glasses don't really work with this one. Maybe they do. I don't know. This character's not supposed to be smart, but it's like. So I was like, all right. So I'll do this. So I put the lipstick on quickly. So anyway, I apologize if my lipstick's bad, but yeah, I got it. Fix the wig.
That's what.
So I got a nice dress on too. It's very classy.
Your caption in your screen should be she, her. Or it.
Or they.
I'm liking it, and I'm taking it back to like the old Bud Light commercial days. Remember when they showed up for Ladies' Night?
Yeah, Ladies' Night.
I'm not getting into the political. There's no. I'm not making a political statement here.
I think you are.
Maybe I'm doing it unintentionally now, but it's Halloween, so it's fun. But yeah, so that's the story behind that. So this is an award-winning outfit.
When I got that picture the other night, I just, let me get through the intro and we'll come back to Phil. How about that?
That's right.
We do have people that pay a lot of money to partner with our program to build their businesses, and I'm not so sure that they'll be doing that starting tomorrow.
Be represented by this crew.
The Barndo Co. will build a dream home for you and anybody in the Carolinas, Georgia, and in Tennessee. That's all I've got on that. I just visit thebarndoco.com. Matt is here. Everybody can see Matt Anderson, the king of late night, will be here all day. David Nuño will be joining us from TexAgs.com to give us the opposing view of the ball game this weekend, and Perry Orth will be here at 12:30 as well to talk some ball. Looking forward to that. Mike Morgan will be joining us a little bit later as well. Carolina wins last night in their exhibition in hoops. We'll get into that here in a minute. We've got buy or sell. I have a very, very – listen, JC, listen to me, okay?
Yes.
Buy or sell is very statistically oriented today. You have to listen to the numbers. Okay, so you can't just say buy.
There would be no math.
Well, I did the math. You don't have to do the math. You just have to hear the math. So that we've got buy or sell. Of course, we'll make our Fab Five picks today for the weekend. We'll talk about the rest of the SEC and happy Halloween to everybody who will, including Mr. Conehead Penis, Mad Dog Molinax, and
you don't know. Like, I had to dust it off first, and if I don't, what's funny is if I don't fill it up with something, like it gets lumpy and looks really weird and looks like, I'm not excited to be here. But
you should have grown out the.
I got it. I picked up. Awesome. I picked up on it. Don't worry, man. I got your back. Picked up on it.
Oh God, Phil, you shouldn't have shaved your mustache for today. I'll tell you what.
Right? Well, I let you. No. I cleaned myself up for this and that's the other thing. Is like it doesn't adhere that well if I don't So I had to take care of everything and. Yeah. But no, I've got towels and stuff in there. It's actually filled with like 7 or 8 rally towels, so it will stand to attention. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you should go sell those at the stadium. Would you like a rally towel, sir?
Would you like
to take it off?
Sure, yeah.
Phil, we all need a little to stand up sometimes.
That's right.
I'll tell you, if you wore that Conehead around those A&M cheerleaders, you'd be a hot commodity.
I'm getting prepared for it. That's what I'm trying to.
I actually think what I'm doing right now is illegal in 16 counties in Texas.
Yeah,
we're gonna get blocked.
So, I don't think David Nuño is going to make it today.
Oh no, man, he's fine.
I usually put you guys on the full screen, but I can't do it today because I can't have JC any bigger on my screen.
Oh man! If anybody missed the show yesterday, I would strongly encourage you to go back and watch it. Ellis Johnson and Stephen Garcia were here together in hour 2, and then hour 3. It was really the opportunity of a lifetime. We had a chance to talk with 1,000 horses. That was so cool. Yeah. And we went very long. We just kept letting them go. Phil and I said, "The hell with it." We ended up around 3:30, Phil.
Yeah, we must about an hour.
Yeah, I saw the episode went long. I caught some of it.
You can't stop those guys. You just let them talk. They've never done an interview for an hour and a half like that. That's how much fun they were having. So we're thrilled.
That's awesome.
Coach Holbrook being here. That was awesome, man. God, that was awesome. So next Thursday, a week from today, they'll be at the Windjammer, and then Friday, December 6th at the Senate in the Vista. Can't wait. See him. Mm-hmm. I said, JC, did you catch it yesterday if you were watching or whatever we're going to call you? I said, what was traveling with Kid Rock like? Oh, Bob. Bob's the man. Yeah, Bob. Yeah, Bob. That's his name.
Just call me Bob.
Yeah, he goes by Bob with his friends. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah, that was great getting those guys on. I like their music a lot.
Oh, it's killer, man.
I missed it, but for some reason, I think you guys probably did all right without me yesterday. I think you guys probably handled it just fine. But I do like their music. I like the Drinking Song, and I like a few other ones too.
Oh, everything kicks
classic.
Ass.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. They're a good artist. So I love having guests like that to kind of break up the monotony. Sports is what we talk normally, and we just do one team. We focus on one team here. Yeah. And so sometimes if it can relate to the Gamecocks, it's something cool like music, like chin music and all that we do. I love to see it, and I'm sure you guys like it too. So
yeah, no doubt.
It was neat, like a chin music takeover, right? Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
neat.
It was cool, man. I mean, we probably need to do that more often. It's always good to have Coach Holbrook on too. Before we got plenty of football today, so we'll lead off a couple other things, guys. Happy Halloween again to everybody. Should be a fun night wherever you are. If you're going to be out trick-or-treating, we'll get you to 2:00 and then we'll let you go from there. The Dodgers hang on and win the World Series 7-6. The Yankees up 5-0. Then the 5th inning hit, and it was a disaster. I mean, a disaster for big league teams to go through that. Wow. 2 errors, really 3, but certainly 2 led off by Aaron Judge just dropping a fly ball in center field, although it did have top spin. He dropped it, and the Yankees fall, and we'll see what they look like in the offseason. But congratulations to one of the great men in baseball, Freddie Freeman, for winning the World Series for his 2nd ring. Last night also at Colonial Life Arena, the College of Worcester played well out of the gates, Matt, but Carolina hangs 86 on them and an 86-60 exhibition victory at the CLA, sophomore forward and preseason all SEC. Colin Murray Boyles led the way with a double-double, 19 points and 11 boards. The Fighting Scots, though, in the first 20 minutes, they were hanging in there. Carolina went on a 13-4 run at the end of the half to lead by 12, 44 to 32. So look, hey, it's an exhibition. Like I don't personally get a lot out of them outside of, are they healthy and are they not healthy? Obviously, I think they played like everybody in the ball game. Matt, would love to get your thoughts on this. I know we couldn't watch it, just had to listen to Derek and Casey call it. We did speak to Coach Paris last week, and we knew that they were going to be kind of going through everything to get themselves ready for the season. So there wasn't a ton of method to the madness, but do you have any takeaways, I guess would be the question from the exhibition last night.
Yeah, I think when you look back at the game against Wofford last year, very similar final scores and the way the game was played out. You're obviously, you had your not so secret scrimmage against NC State where the Gamecocks, by everyone I've talked to, decisively won that. And I don't think Lamont was ever going to go embarrass his alma mater last night. But, you would like to see the 3-point shot go in a little bit more than it did in the first half. Arden Conyers going on an 11-0 run by himself kind of talks about what Lamont said about Arden being able to score.
4-5 from long range for him too, Matt.
Yeah. Colin Murray Boyles did what he's supposed to do. I mean, you hung 86 up. I mean, it's not easy to hang up 86 on anybody in a 40-minute game, especially when you have Jamari Thomas going for 1 point. And I don't think that's going to be the norm. But I think this is an opportunity to get everybody playing time on both sides. And I think that it was probably very orchestrated with how the game was going to go with, the coach on the other sideline being a former teammate of Lamont Paris.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know if you take too much from it other than 86 points is 86 and a lot of guys got action. And, we'll see the Gamecocks soon in the regular season. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It kicks off. Tips off Monday. And just listening to Lamont's comments afterward, he seemed pleased because there's a lot to coach on. He said there were some mistakes made, some guys didn't play all that well, but some guys that really did. And Arden Conyers, as Matt said, if you listen to the Late Night Gamecock show last week, I know this because I clipped it up. He thought, he called Arden Conyers instant offense, and Lamont praised him here. And we've been telling you guys about that since the summer, Bradford and myself, because I started hearing about that a long time ago. I mean, this guy redshirted last year, was kind of the other local guy that they got after Colin Murray Boyles. He's 6'7" and can shoot. And the thing he's got to get better at is defense. Offense is fine with him. But like what I was told was during the summer, the defense really came on. So he's one to kind of look out for, kind of like Carlos Powell got here way back in the day and nobody had ever heard of him. And 6'7" guy that can shoot, that kind of guy. And Arden's a different type of player than Carlos, certainly, but it just shows you sometimes these in-state kids end up being a lot better than you think. And that's really
Arden played a lot of point guard too in high school. And he played it, and Lamont said it, zone defense in high school. So, I mean, there's going to be growing pains to go from South Carolina high school basketball to the SEC, no matter how you slice it. But like I was told over the summer and been reiterated to me, and I put on the Big Spur a couple weeks ago, that don't be surprised if Arden Conyers has a handful of double-digit games and has the opportunity to lead the Gamecocks in scoring on any given night. But so, I think the big takeaway is what Lamont said is his defense. Lamont's not going to let someone go in and if it's going to be a net negative for the team.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
we'll see with that.
That's a great point. I do think the guys that started last night are the guys that are the starters to enter the season based on what coach has told us. Jamari Thomas, Zach Davis, Colin Murray Boyles, Miles Studi, and Nick Pringle. Pringle was 7 points last night. If you haven't seen the box score, we'll kind of give you the quick rundown on it. He did have 7. Studi had 5. Boyles, as we mentioned, had 19. Zach Davis was 0-5 from long range, but he did have 4 points. Jamari Thomas just 1 point, didn't hit a shot last night, only attempted 4. 3 were from outside the arc. Jacoby Wright chipped in 10. And then Conyers with the 16, Benjamin Bozeman's Verdonk with 5, How about old Lance Piper getting in the game? He knocked down a 3. And Cam Scott last night had 16 points. He was 3 of 8 from long range. And he also had 6 boards as well. I would say this, though. You mentioned the 3-point shooting. And as things get cleaned up, right, and as the season goes along, they will form their identity. That is, Lamont Paris has spoken about that over and over and over. Every year, every team has to figure out who they are, and they'll get there, and they'll probably get there pretty quickly. He probably wasn't very happy with 18 turnovers. Cam Scott did lead that category with 4. So, scrimmage or not, and I know they're trying to do some things that they maybe aren't going to do in a normal day. But the 18 turnovers is probably something he's not pleased with, and the 9 of 20 from the free throw stripe. Yeah, it's probably want to get that fixed too. I would say those are the 2 things that certainly would stand out from a negative standpoint.
Well, the last thing I will say is, that Worcester opened the second half on an 8-0 run, got it 44-40. The Gamecocks promptly followed that up with a 26-4 run of their own. So, it seemed like they locked down in that second half and just said, okay, we're going to get ours. And they did. And so from a defensive standpoint, you show potential there. 26-4 runs are really hard to do in college basketball. But I don't think you saw the final product for Gamecock basketball last night at all. And I think there's still plenty of optimism there. So don't freak out about it, Gamecock fans.
That's right. Not even close. Not even close. But when you miss 11 or you shoot 45% from the free throw line and like 30% from 3-point range and score 86 points in an exhibition, as JC said just a minute ago, that's Coach Paris. He can coach that. He likes that. He likes that, and I'm sure they're coaching today. All right, it's 11:20. We do need to hit a timeout, thankfully, because I can't look at this for only but about 20 minutes at a time. We are built by the Barndo Co. and presented by our friends at Gamecock Traditions, GamecockTraditions.com. Big game this weekend, if you haven't heard, and if you're going to be in Columbia, it's a 7:30 kick. 7:30 kick, so you got time to get to Lexington and the Village at Sandhill, where they got all sorts of deals going on. Maybe you want to wear something black Saturday night. If you don't have something black or you need something black new, that's where you go. You can order online. Probably not going to get there before Saturday morning, but you can certainly do it. GamecockTraditions.com, GamecockTraditions.com, Village at Sandhill and in Lexington. Hang tight. Unfortunately, for some of you, we'll be right back.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com. Man, that's good.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the 2 of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cards while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Fans, Club Chief has arrived. Become a Big Chief Club member or a Big Chief Club Golden Gear member for exclusive access to our Nana's Porch chat box on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Plus, you'll get access to our VIP tailgates, prize drawings, merch, and much more. A portion of your monthly membership goes to the Garnet Trust, supporting NIL at the University of South Carolina. Pull up your Chief Sports app and join on the home page. Thank you so much for being a member of Club Chief, and we look forward to meeting many of you very soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
It is 11:25. It's Halloween, and it's Inside the Gamecocks, the show, brought to you by our friends at Palm Casual. Mad Dog, Conehead, Penis Head, Mullinax is here till 2. Matt is here. And we can't call him by his name. You've got to come up with something, guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, the character has
it's a dirty woman. Call me the dirty woman. Call me a trailer trash.
I don't know. I like the orange sherbet in there. That was pretty good.
Orange sherbet was very creative. Who was that? Daddy-O?
Yeah, that was good. So there we go. That's fine. I can go.
I mean that's JC's stripper name.
I was thinking today, orange sherbet to the stage now. Coming up next, orange sherbet to the shades. This is Creamy Christine right now, right here. We got 2-for-1 Jello shots all night long, 4 for $1 hamburgers, and don't forget the breakfast buffets going all night long here at Show Place. The show.
You look like
I can do a little accent. Hi, Al. How you doing?
You look like if sailors had pulled Ariel up out of the sea in a net.
Up where they walk.
And he has many talents. She has many talents.
I cannot walk. I've been up. Anyway, now, that's
all this for $40. I would have given you $40 to not wear that.
Right, that's right.
We'll see.
He's doing it for free today, JB.
The other beautiful part of it is
he's got a bachelorette auction to go to.
Yeah, the wife being embarrassed, sort of embarrassed, to go. She's like, "Oh my god, you went all out, didn't you?" I mean, I had my costume from last year, but I was like, I kind of wear a new one because I wore that on the show last year. And it's too close to Cornbread Cowboy. And now that I kind of know Cornbread Cowboy and I talk to him a lot, I'm like, so I can't use that one. And then I said, you want to tell you the story about how this came about?
Sure.
It's not. There's a little personal reason why I came up with it too. That I'll bring it up. All right, so we don't decide to go to this thing until when I'm on the show Tuesday. And Nat, at the end of the show Tuesday, she's like at Halloween Spirit or whatever, buying stuff, and settles on going as a roller girl because they just don't have much. So I take I'm not going into Spirit Halloween. I'm just not. And I wanted something cheap. I was like, Fat Elvis. So I look up on the internet. I was like, Fat Elvis near me on Google. There's a costume at Walmart. So I head to Wally World. I get to Walmart. Which, by the way, I could go to Walmart dressed like this, right? Probably fit right in. I go to Walmart, and the Halloween costume aisle for adults is just done. It's over. Nothing. Except they have a stack of these red wigs. Mm. Now, I dated one girl that was a redhead in my whole life. She's a high school girlfriend. I don't even... But I kind of wrote a little nasty song about her. Called Dirty Woman, but it starts with an H and it rhymes with door.
That would start with a W, but I hear you.
Yeah, W. I'm sorry. Shoot, my bad. God, little H. I'm an idiot. So W. Yeah, W. Yeah, I'm sorry. How did I say that? All right, W. Right. Woman. I'll say woman, but same as woman. So it's a fun little song, and I tinker around with playing it on the guitar. You can ask Phil. It's been a folk song that I played on the guitar with our gatherings for forever, right? And so I got this, and I was like, well, I think I'd win if I could find a polka dot dress to wear, or something, a little skirt, and a sweater or something like that at top. They have no dresses at Walmart, except in the maternity section, which I am glad I shopped in because I needed the space. Right? They don't exactly carry my size. So I buy this maternity dress, and lo and behold, it fits. See, it's very pretty. And the wig, and just added lipstick, and I put on some biker shorts underneath the dress. And
glad you didn't go with the thong, JC.
Well, I didn't. I didn't do the shoes, because as hard as the dress was to find, there's no way I'm finding. I couldn't walk in shoes. Come on, I don't want to kill myself.
This whole thing is creeping me out.
Anyway, that's kind of my costume this year. There's my story about that. So anyway,
well,
maybe I could be Fat Elvis next year.
Yeah, please do that. If you don't mind, we'd really appreciate it.
Everybody would.
Yeah. If you're not going to be trick-or-treating tonight and you want to watch college football, Tulane is 6-2. They're on the road at Jerry Richardson Stadium up there in Charlotte, and they're 14.5-point favorites. The NFL, of course, also plays tonight. The Texans and the Jets. You aren't very good. 2-6. Texans, though, 6-2. That is your Thursday night football slate. All right, guys. Carolina and A&M. David Nuño would join us from TexAgs.com later. Perry Orth will join us at 12:30 today. At 12:30, and we do have a buy or sell coming up at noon. That it's got a lot of specific numbers. So as we all know, I'm still having a little bit of a hard time thinking here. As we all know,
this is the most orangey kind of. I was doing the Halloween stuff today for the graphics for the show, and this is about the only time we're ever going to use orange on the show. And this is kind of brighter red, but yeah, it's a little orange. So
it's just a little bit. It's not really the wig isn't what's getting me. It's the lipstick and the lack of clothing from your nipples up.
I've got clothes on, man. It's just
well, I know, but that's
you don't like my shoulders.
Yeah, it's going to be about 13,000 people that end up actually watching this thing. So
yeah, feast your eyes.
As we all know, the last time A&M was in town, they went down 30-24. As we mentioned earlier in the week, Xavier Leggett took his shoe off and then hauled rear end down the eastern sideline, the visitor sideline, the east sideline, and into the end zone to open the game, which was startling. If any of you were there that night, it was pretty shocking to see. The line is down. A&M now just a 2-point favorite, but the total remains at 44.5. And Matt, you haven't been here this week, so I'll kind of lead off with you on this. They're 5-0, and let's keep in mind that 2 of those 5 wins and the R-League wins are against teams in the top 10. Now, both were at home, and we can all make the argument that Missouri maybe isn't that really that good. Maybe they are, but they don't appear to be as good as I think a lot of people wanted to give them credit for. Like JC said at the beginning of this season, LSU is a pretty good team, and they hung 31 points on the Tigers in the second half of the game last week. Outside of that, they've won at Florida. They've beat Arkansas, who's I think having a nice season, and they went to Mississippi State, and they got everything. That if you really actually think about it, Mississippi State, who's not good, 0-5, 1-7, coming off of back-to-back road trips to Austin and Athens, right? They didn't go well at all in Texas, and they went and they put 31 points on the board against Georgia. Okay. But at that point in time, they were only 0-3 in the league. And so they felt like coming home with A&M and then with Arkansas and Massachusetts, I'm talking about internally in their locker room, right? If you think about it, okay, if there's any time where we can get it going, this is it. We went over, we gave the Bulldogs something to talk about. We're coming home. We got 3 straight, got a couple of league opportunities and a big one against a traditional West opponent in the Aggies. So if we're going to get things on track, here's the opportunity to do it. They threw everything they could throw at Texas A&M. I mean, everything they could throw at them. So here's the point that I'm making, though. In this league, you know, and Texas has already figured this out. Alabama, of course, knows it well, and it happened in Nashville. You can stumble, you know, just because you don't play the most quote unquote difficult schedule like some of these other teams. That doesn't mean that any of the wins should be less valuable, you know. And so I think that they deserve a ton of credit for being 5-0, handling business, making very minimal mistakes. They're well coached. And I would, Matt, I'll leave it at this, and I'll shut up here. They're a very difficult team to beat, and those are always the games that you want to watch out for.
Yeah, you said it right off the top there, JB. 5-0 in SEC play is hard to do. Gamecocks haven't won 5 games in the SEC in a row probably a long time. But you know, A&M has done that, and you look at those scores. It's usually about a score of 33-19. So I mean, they're winning by 2 touchdowns on average every time they face off against an SEC opponent. You know, they went to Florida on the road, and they went to Mississippi State so far. That's their SEC road games, and they had a neutral game against Arkansas. They're not going to beat themselves, and they're not going to quit. You watch that LSU game, and they didn't quit, and they hung a bunch of points on LSU in the second half when LSU was feeling pretty rosy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I will be interested to see what happens in a true SEC road game at night at Williams-Brice Stadium. I think that just the fans are going to be there, and they're going to be loud. I mean, I said it the other day, I think that if Shane has the opportunity, you defer to the second half. You try and set the tempo early for the Gamecocks, but on the flip side of that, the Gamecocks haven't been chopped liver either. I mean, they've played a tougher schedule thus far than A&M has. They hung, 33 on LSU themselves, and that's exactly, 5 points less than A&M just did. Yeah. I think there's just so many questions about this game. Is Marcel Reed going to be the quarterback? All indications are probably yes, and we'll probably get that information coming up at 12:30 or something like that whenever we have the guy from A&M come on here. But that kid's electric. And, the Gamecocks have fared well against dual threat quarterbacks this season, but in past seasons, they haven't. And when you look at the numbers on that kid, over his career, he's a redshirt freshman, but 56% completion percentage, 5.1 yards per rush. And I think he scored a touchdown on 7% of the times he touches the ball as the quarterback for A&M. So, I mean, it's going to be the biggest test of the season for the Gamecocks, I think, from an all-around offensive perspective. But if they can neutralize that passing game and make A&M run, I think they have just as good a chance as anybody, and that's why you're seeing that line drop down to 2 points.
Yeah, the Reed situation, I look forward to, guys, talking to David Nuño at 1 o'clock today with TexAgs. I'm with you. I do think that he'll get the start. This will be the most difficult environment he's ever played in. There's no question about that. But it goes back to, do you beat yourselves or not? And we'll get into a lot of the turnover stuff coming up here at the top of hour 2 when we have buy or sell. But to make it easy to have the conversation, they don't, JC, as you know, they've got, I would say Carolina has a better quarterback in this game than either of those two guys. And that's not being disrespectful. I just like South Carolina's quarterback better. But where he's been deficient versus what you've seen from Marcel Reed and Connor Wegman for the large majority of the season is that Lenoris has from time to time had the ball security issues. And they did get a lot of that cleaned up. And yesterday we talked to Steven Garcia, and he mentioned in the second half how bland it was at Oklahoma, right? I mean, it really was. It was a boring offense, to put that politely. But it also maybe could have mitigated or minimized how many opportunities they would have to kind of quote unquote fumble it away. With all that said, though, JC, with all that said, some of the mistakes that he's made this year, it didn't take much to make them. They just dropped the ball. So I do feel like they are in a much better spot and where they need to be from that standpoint. But looking across the sideline at the Aggies, they're very, very good at not shooting themselves in the foot, and that's been a huge reason why they're so good.
Yeah, they're not a team that when you look at their results this year outside of the Missouri game that you go, man, they're just killing people. They're enormously talented, and then they do this, that, and the other. They probably don't have as many future NFL guys on this team as maybe last year, especially on defense. But they're better coached and they're a better football team because they kind of play within themselves. They don't get rattled. Florida, they kind of got up big and ended up there up 20-0 at halftime, took control of that one early. Then in the road game at Mississippi State, it was kind of back and forth. Mississippi State threw a lot into that game, as you said. Mississippi State had success running the ball against this defense, which was encouraging. And then, Aggies ended up winning. I think it was a touchdown at some point. It was like 34-24 was the final out there. So Starkville's loud. I mean, they got the cowbells and things like that, but it's not going to be as crazy as it is Saturday night with the Gamecock crowd and all that. So they haven't been tested in that environment other than probably the first 10 minutes during the Florida game when that crowd at the Swamp was probably still in it. Marcel Reed was the starter in that Florida game, though.
He was.
Yep.
So if anybody that thinks he's coming in as a lot of the you hear the media talk and they don't really address it, but you almost hear like the Aggies made a quick change and here's the backup that hadn't been in.
Yeah.
No, Marcel Reed started. I think he started Bowling Green, which was a scary game that they almost lost. Florida. He started Arkansas. They didn't go back to Weigman until Missouri. And then Weigman had a great game against Missouri. He was just kind of so-so at Mississippi State, and he finally got pulled. So, I don't know that this is some new thing. Beamer even mentioned in the press conference, but this team does not beat themselves. Their quarterbacks will throw interceptions. Weidman will, especially. I actually think Reed's a little more accurate than Connor is as far as the short stuff. As Nick Hibben-Warray said in the press conference, that Clayton White backed it up. Yeah, they don't really try to trick you. They're going to line up and do what they do offensively, which is run the ball, establish the run, and then they have talent. Here's a little secret for everybody: they have talent at receiver. So
you're right.
You mentioned this earlier this week. They have more talent there than you think.
Yeah.
So if you start creeping up, they have the ability, if they can get it off, to beat you down the field. So that's another challenge for the front.
I'll say this too, JC.
Okay. I was just going to add.
I was just going to say that you guys talk about the.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, man.
No, JC. What I was going to say is you go back to games he started. Marcel Reed started the bowl game against Oklahoma State last year, and I didn't go back and look and see if Oklahoma State had guys that were sitting out. But they lost that game 31-23 to Oklahoma State. But Marcel Reed was 20 of 33 for 361 yards passing. So he has put up passing numbers. He's not just a running quarterback.
No, and most guys aren't these days. It's one of those things that there are very few that just you're like, man, they can't throw. So I think the turnover battle is going to be important. I think the A&M offensive line is on par with an Alabama or a LSU, maybe a little notch below, but I think they're better on an offensive line than Kentucky. They're certainly better than Oklahoma, and they may be better than Ole Miss up front. And they're playing together. Their offensive line coach is Adam Cushing. I don't know if I mentioned this in the show. It's the problem with taking Wednesdays off. I don't remember if I mentioned things. Adam Cushing was the head coach at Eastern Illinois that coached here when Beamer's debut happened. He was the head coach. He's a heck of an offensive line coach. So I think it's a challenge just because, you look at the defense as well at South Carolina. The Gamecocks have not really played a team that said, we're going to line it up and beat you in the face and run it at you. Alabama tried to do that with their backs a little bit, but they also run Milrow, and so that's the thing there. And Alabama's backs, they can't figure out why in the world their backs aren't running for more in Tuscaloosa. Amari Daniels and Le'Veon Moss have not been really slow. They've been slowed, but not stopped by hardly anybody this year. So they've got, this is the best set of backs I think they face, Carolina has. So it's going to be a challenge. I will say this, the defense that South Carolina is playing with such confidence right now that, it may not matter if it's different or not. I think that you could have a lot of success on that side of the ball if you're the Gamecocks, because the other part of the A&M offense is obviously they don't really put up a bunch of yards. It's kind of one of those, but they'll have some games below 200, 300 yards that they win and stuff like that. So it's kind of just one of those things. I mean, Le'Veon Moss saved them in the Arkansas game. The turnovers that LSU committed saved them the other night, or they would have probably lost. But this is teams like this don't lose, even not on their best day. They find a way to win, and that's what's going to make them very difficult to defeat. Not that it can't be done, but it's a big challenge for Carolina.
Well, this season, so this is what I love when we can have these type of conversations. This is a line of scrimmage game on Saturday night, and Carolina's played this year. I mean, if you go back and look at, Oklahoma obviously had a bunch of issues up front on the offensive line because of youth and injuries and those things. But, dating back to the Kentucky game, we knew about the Wildcats defensive line, a little bit unsure of the offensive line. Certainly got into the LSU game and understood what they were going to present on the offensive side up front. You know what you're going to get out of Alabama generally, and and then Ole Miss, one of the better defensive lines in college football. And so, anyways, my point is, in order to go into games in the SEC on a consistent basis and feel like you have a chance to be successful, you have to be able to compete up front, right? And that's long been kind of the standard in the Southeastern Conference. If you can't win in the trenches, you can't win games, at least consistently. And that, while the Gamecocks have what I would consider fairly major issues up front on the offensive line, the numbers are what they are at this point in time. The defensive line is going to give you a chance to win every single game that you play. That's already been proven. And so regardless of whether it's Marcel Reed or Jackson Dart or Garrett Nussmeier, whoever it is, this group over here is going to find ways to cause problems. Right now, historically, we've had issues in Columbia with dual threat quarterbacks. Scary things, man. How about that? Right? Look back over the years, you go, "Oh, sweet mother, this guy's a dual threat. Could be a long day." Marcel Reed, I think, is a very talented kid. But when you add up the fact that, and you're right, JC, you're dead right. He went into the swamp as a starter. I think he was 11 of 17 for 170 something. Threw a couple of touchdowns. This isn't going to be his first road start in the league, but it is against this defense at night in a place where Carolina has been very, very dangerous the last couple of years. So, look, I give that kid a lot of credit, and I don't have any doubt that he could have the game of a life against South Carolina or really anybody because of his talent and his athletic ability. But at the same time, it's hard to not like where Carolina is at home at night with that defense and a redshirt freshman probably playing the large majority of the snaps for the Aggies. It just seems like something quirky could happen.
Or a guy that will turn it over in Weigman. The Missouri game was not,
especially on the road.
Yeah,
Weigman is way worse turning the football over on the road throughout his career.
Yeah, he struggled with Notre Dame at the early 12 of 30, so he can go bad too passing the ball. Mm-hmm. I don't think they'll stick with him if he comes in and starts to struggle, but you may get a cheap one or something like that. But yeah, up front on offense for South Carolina. They just have to play better. You got to play their best game Saturday. You just got to play better. you know, who knows? Something tells me there'll be some more wrinkles on offense. Something tells me that, but maybe not. Like I said, we'll see if there's changes, whatever. But I'll generally say this, and then some of you guys that have been out there talking about what the offense should do, you're probably right. So Urban Meyer, because Ohio State's been struggling on the offensive line, right? Everybody's griping up there about it. So Urban Meyer has a podcast, and whatever you think about Urban Meyer as a person, he's a Hall of Fame football coach and a winner and very smart when it comes to this stuff. He said when their offensive line was struggling during his coaching career, and you had a dual threat quarterback like they have at Ohio State, like South Carolina has, he's like, it's simple. He's like, you simplify the run game to 4 things: gap right, gap left, zone right, zone left. That's all you do. He's like, and then out of that, you're going to run your quarterback 10 to 15 times because that guy has an advantage in the box. He's your extra ball carrier, and he can make things happen. He's like, then we do all sorts of things to neutralize. He said, you do a rollout, sprint out, move the pocket, get him on the move, get him on the edge. He's like, it takes the pressure completely off the offensive line. He called it like alleviating pressure, like take the pressure off those guys. And so y'all are right. Everybody's been, I mean, I know boots and waggles is kind of an ism that's out there about getting the guy out of the pocket, but I don't know for the life of me why, you know, you wouldn't get him out of the pocket. And, you know, it's not like he's not at his best when he is out of the pocket. Yeah. I think he can throw well. But then Dowell said in this press conference the other day that a lot like what teams are doing now, it's called attacking mesh. They attack the mesh. They send a guy right to the mesh point, right? And so that kind of, if you want to know why some of the stuff's been getting blown up, it's because they have a defenses will call a missile, and the cows go in and try to kamikaze it and blow it up. So I think that, you know, I think that, I mean, I don't know. I think that may be something to consider. Get him on the run a little bit, get him on the edge, but
that's exactly what Alabama did. Exactly what you talked about, throwing that kamikaze missile in there and making Lenoris make a decision. And Urban Meyer knows that too. And if he's saying you can scheme it up and do something about it, like if they're throwing a kamikaze missile, you know, that'll work a third of the time, and you might, you know, take a loss, but you still got to do what you're supposed to do in that situation, which is roll out.
The missile is that's two different things. You know, that's two different subjects. So, like, and I should have explained myself. The missile is probably why the zone read, like some of the reads and stuff, aren't working, because there is an X. You know, because in theory, you read the box. If it's this, it's that, it's RPO, all that good stuff. And so if you got a guy crashing, you guys remember the blown lead at Florida when Jake Bentley was here in 18, right?
Of course we do.
You know, everybody says Carolina just started running it and took the air out of the ball. That's not what happened in that game. In that game, South Carolina's offense that year was almost 80% RPO, run pass option. So in that game, what was happening was Florida adjusted. And they put Todd Grantham, of all people, they put a guy that heat-sinking missile right into the backfield from safety. So Jake was making the right reads, but they were countering with something. And you got to be smart to counter off of that. And that's the point there. As far as just generally getting Lenoris out of the pocket, that why not? I mean, that's Urban Meyer said that, you know, simplifying the run game and then getting your quarterback on the move are two things to combat if you're so on the offensive line.
Is that all you got in this sherbert?
Well, yeah, I thought we had to get to a break. So,
no, we do. We do get to a break, but I'm just sitting here watching you talk, and I don't really know how many people are going to hear a word you say today, but I got you.
It's a sports talk show, and like 80% of our 60% of our people listen. So I can't sit here and be in character and be like, all right, boys, here's what we got to do.
Yeah, don't do that.
We got to get Lenoris on the move, fellas.
Nobody will listen.
And bro,
I don't know.
It's going to be awesome.
Based on the top of Phil's head, he might like it.
Hey, my beautiness and sexiness have called Phil's thing on the top of his head to grow a little bit now.
That's right.
It's very hard. You better not run into the door frame, Phil. You're going to have to break the house. By the way, Phil's wife did text me. Shout out to Malden High School, home of the Mavericks. Go Mavericks.
Okay, you're going to do it. Yeah.
Go Miss Mullinax, the Mavericks. From my heart to yours. Y'all have a great day, kids.
That's fantastic.
And that's how you segue to a commercial break.
Hey,
baby.
I've got it. Matt, I've got it. Phil or Mad Dog, yes. I've got it. He's JC Exotic.
Oh, my.
All right, we do need to take a break. Yeah, he's the Tiger Queen.
That damn Carol Baskin. I'm going to kill Carol Baskin.
That's it.
I'm going to kill Carol
I knew
Baskin.
There was something that kept hitting me. I was like, what is that?
Tiger Queen. I love it.
Hi. Hey, boys, can one of y'all give me a lift to Myrtle Beach?
No.
I want to go see that safari guy, boy.
This is sick. Careful, Nat, if you're watching or listening, careful. JC's going to marry a gay guy in prison and take off to Mexico like Joe Exotic.
Privately owned.
I saw a comment earlier that Chicago finally broke JC.
Yeah.
Oh, no, dude. Chicago's full of like normal. Now there is one part where the political center of but most people out of the suburbs are like, yeah, they didn't even dress up for the costume party. Well, I'm not dressing up for a costume party. I'm here to play bingo. I'm bingo alone. You give me my beef sandwich and I'll win more than $40 in bingo. So $40. They're really normal, but I mean, I had a little good competition. Somebody took my Fat Elvis idea and was Fat Elvis. That he was the number 2.
See,
all right,
he had to do it. He had to do it to win.
Palm Casual they'll sell to anybody, including people like JC Exotic, the Tiger Queen. PalmCasual.com. There's 4 locations in South Carolina, in Bluffton, Somerville, Mount Pleasant, and in Myrtle Beach. Palm Casual. It's got the money back guarantee for 30 days. Bam. Don't like it, want to return it, you can do it. Most people don't. Actually, nobody does, but you can. That's why it's there. And then, of course, they've got lifetime guarantees as well. If you're going to soup up your outdoors, you want to do it with the best, right? You want to do it with the best. Don't order from Amazon. Don't go to Walmart. Buy the best. PalmCasual.com. Gamecock owned and operated. We'll lead off the noon hour with buy or sell on the other side of the anthem.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Ah, the summer solstice, when the ho-hum of the everyday is replaced by an overwhelming sense of freedom. A time for living, for rolling the windows down, cranking up the tunes, and blazing new trails. Now is your time. And Love Chevy is celebrating with incredible summer savings on the entire lineup of award-winning new Chevys. Unprecedented savings right now on the ride of your dreams. Love has them all, primed and fully equipped for your next adventure. And right now at the lowest prices of the year. The best prices anywhere, in fact. Love guarantees it. The others are still saying anything to lure you in and let you down. With the same old gimmicks and ridiculous add-ons. Love is different. Over 6 decades of honesty and integrity, and the long-standing belief that car buying should actually be a whole bunch of fun. Now is your time at Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever, and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
It's time for buy or sell.
I'm trying to find the thing to click. I got distracted. Oh,
welcome back.
It's time to buy or sell on Inside the Gamecock Show.
Yeah, it is time to buy or sell. Brought to you by Right to Bear, protectwithbear.com. Protectwithbear.com. Perry Orth coming up at 12:30. Protect your family. Training, education, and self-defense coverage for as low as $15.41 per month. It's a wild world out there. Why would you not want criminal defense, civil defense, and pretty much anything and everything in between? Protectwithbear.com. David Nuño will join us at the top of the 1 o'clock hour as well.
I really think that Phil's costume should start deflating as the show goes in and out of commercial breaks until it's just gone.
It's funny. I went downstairs during that last break and had to like fluff myself back up.
Oh,
I think I messed up my wig during break. My wife can't get in the chat box because she's not a club chief member. So I like watching. She's like, I want to comment.
Give her a basket.
No, you can't. Like, I would, YouTube. It's very, very restrictive.
Well,
we'll talk about that later. Let's get to buy or sell because I have some things I want to buy and sell.
We are buying and we are selling. We'll let the king of late night go. Mad Dog, Penis, Conehead, Molinax, the king of late night, and JC Exotic, aka the Tiger Queen, all here today on Halloween. Happy Halloween to all of you. All right, king of late night, buy or sell. Texas A&M allows 272 yards per game through the air in SEC games. Keep in mind that number was bumped a little bit by that 405 that LSU put on them last week. Aside from aside from the LSU game where Lenore Sellers didn't play the second half, as he went down, he got hurt. Sellers throws for 185 per game in league play, but over 200 in the last 2 games. Buy or sell Lenore Sellers over 225 passing yards Saturday night against the Aggies.
Let me do some quick math here. So he's averaging 7.8 yards per pass attempt. He'd have to pass 25 times to get to 195. I will sell that. I don't think he goes over the number.
Using some logic there, penis head. What you got, Mad Dog?
I'm kind of a like mind as Matt. I don't think he's going to quite get 270. No, buy. I'm going to sell. I will sell.
Well, it's only 225 or 220, right, JB?
225.
Or 220, right? Oh,
225, which will be 50 yards under the A&M average.
Yeah, 50 under the average. Yeah. Now, you know what? I'm buying that. I think we're going to have some success. I think getting a couple pieces back on offense, at least one that I have in mind that's actually going to help him get to that number.
Okay.
Buy 225.
JC, do you want me to read it again?
No, I'm going to buy it because I think at home, you can't. Well, he's not a inexperienced quarterback anymore. You got to be able to throw the football. These guys do give up some passing yards. They have 405 from LSU. I think South Carolina's going to have to throw the ball. I don't think you can line up and run it on this team. Just kind of like Oklahoma in the first half. Carolina, I thought, was downright pass happy for what they've done this year in the first half against Oklahoma. They dropped back through it. So, yeah, I'm thinking over that. That doesn't mean they're going to win. I mean, he could throw for 290 yards and they could get blown out. I mean, I just think it's going to take. They're going to have. I think they know they have to attempt some passes.
Well, I think one of the interesting things, and by the way, I'm going to actually sell this, but not by much. I just think he'll be a little under 225. But the games against the Aggies in league play, okay, think about the teams they've played: Florida, Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi State, LSU. Of that group, you're talking about one. I mean, really one quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier, that's what he's really known for. I mean, you could throw Brady Cook in there too, I guess, if you wanted to. But the numbers: 249 against the Gators, 279 against the Razorbacks, 186 against Mizzou, 242 against Mississippi State, and 405 last weekend against LSU. Now, keep in mind, some of those, LSU was behind, so they just had to keep chucking the ball. But they will give up some big boppers, and that's what Carolina. That's where they got to find a way to strike on Saturday night. And we'll give Dowell some credit here. He's been able to dial up a couple of big boppers here and there. So I'm going to sell it, but not by much. I'll go with like
JB. If I flip that in total passing yards for the Gamecocks, not just Lenore Sellers, would you take over 225? And I'm basically saying to Kai Kroger pass attempt.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
What
like I said,
Bernard throws one.
But I don't think. Yeah, where's Jordan Birch when you need him? I don't think that this is like. I'm not saying it's like 180. That's why I put it at 225 to make it difficult. I just think that it's slightly underneath. But I do think he'll be fairly accurate. If that helps or makes sense. How about that? All right. Hello, Mike.
What's up?
We've got Penis Head Mullinax, Conehead Penis Head Mullinax, and JC Exotic, a.k.a. the Tiger Queen, with us today.
Oh, is that what that is? The Tiger Queen.
Well, that's what
Hi,
it is.
Mike. How are you?
Hi there. Oh, God.
How are you,
Man.
Mike?
That is really scary.
And
That's enough to be celibate for at least a year.
I will add on the passing numbers thing, by the way. I don't know that it's a really good thing, though, if Lenore... I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if Lenore Sellers has like 30 passing attempts, 35 passing attempts, I'm not so sure that that's a great sign for how the game is going, just based on how they've played this far. So...
Maybe not.
All right. Mike, do you want to get in on that over-under Sellers 225 through the air? Buy or sell? I'm sorry, not over-under. Buy or sell? Buy or sell Lenore Sellers over 225.
Over 225?
Yeah. A&M gives up 272 through the air, but 405 last week against Nussmeier. So obviously that helped that number. It's really around 250.
Yeah, and I don't think Carolina's going to throw nearly as many passes as LSU did last week. I mean, LSU just became one-dimensional in that game. What did Nussmeier finish with? Over 40 attempts, right?
50.
Almost 50. 405 yards, yeah.
I think he was 25 of 50 with 3 picks.
I'll go under on. I'll play that a little conservative and go under on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, look, so I guess I'll sell it.
I think it's Mike. I think it's actually a better sign if they are under.
Yeah, I mean, I look. I don't at this stage with that passing game in this matchup. I don't want to see 40 attempts. I don't think that gives you the best chance of winning. Not against A&M.
I think
not against Scorton and those boys. Like this is one of those games. This is one of those games that you brought Rocket Sanders in for a reason, and you've got Lenoris's legs for a reason. It's to really make a difference on the ground. Now, again, defensive coordinators know that. So if they go with Reed over, I think both will play. But if they go with Reed over Wigman, and you saw the Fab Five question I had, like, okay, the rushing yards for the quarterbacks, like you're going to see stacked boxes. We talked about this with DeMarco on Monday. You're going to see stacked boxes when those guys are when Reed's in the game and with Sellers. So now what do? The holes aren't going to be as frequent, and all of a sudden if Rocket Sanders starts getting hit in the backfield and he's averaging 2.8 a carry, so what's your counterpunch? That's what good defensive coordinators do. I mean, and that's what the SEC is typically full of. They know what your strength is. They take it away. Well, now what do? What's your secondary strength?
Right. Extensions of the run game. Got to figure that out, like Pat was saying. And Michael will talk a lot about that tomorrow. All right. Who are we starting with here? Penis Head? You going first, Mad Dog?
Sure. Why not?
All right. Okay. By the way, hat tip to intern Ashton, who is behind social media controls today, freeing up Penis Head to actually do whatever he wants to do besides that. All right,
freed Willie there.
Yeah, she freed Willie. All right. Okay. Cone head, penis head. A&M allows 74 yards per game on the ground versus SEC opponents. It's number 1 in the league versus SEC opponents. But neutral or away games, just under 100. That number goes up a little bit when they're not at home, including 113.5 in the last 2, Arkansas and Mississippi State. Carolina averages 136 yards per game on the ground in SEC games. Buy or sell, the Gamecocks over 100 versus the Aggies rush defense.
Over 100. And you got to figure sack yardage counts negatively. Well, I'll buy that.
Okay.
All day.
You know, the thing about Phil's head, to use a mixed metaphor, the carpet doesn't match the drapes, if you know what I'm saying. The headphones don't match the...
That's right. They did not nail the color of my prosthesis.
Mike wasn't here at the top of the show. Mike, what you missed was that thing was half the size it is until he saw JC, and then it got a little bit.
Gosh. Wow.
It's got a mind of its own.
Wow.
He said he, quote, fluffed it up during the break.
Yeah.
And we're accounting for sack yardage on this.
Oh God, this is getting bad. Matt,
SAC yardage.
Get us straight.
Sack
here.
yardage.
So I've lost the question. What's the question?
I think we all have at this point.
Matt, you could have done the same thing and been Conan head. The king of Leighton. Conan head.
Could have.
All right, go ahead, Matt. Carolina, are you buying or selling the Gamecocks over 100 yards on the ground?
I'm gonna buy that. I think they have to get there to win the game, and I think for where the game is at a 2-point spread, I think you're going to have to get there. Lenore's can get there. Rocket Sanders has shown the ability to bust out and knock off 40, 50, 60 yards runs. So is Lenore. Sellers. I don't think it's gonna be a consistent rushing per carry to get to 100 yards, where they're averaging 4.7 yards a carry on 25 attempts. I mean, they might at the end of the day, but it's going to be a 40-yarder rip off and then like a 25-yard rip off, and they'll get there, but it's not going to be anything consistent. But yeah, I'll buy that over 100.
Mike,
I'm going to steal the sentiments of David Letterman. I think yes, they have to, and I think it'll come in the variety of pack that Matt just kind of explained. Like they're not just going to gash them, but just break a couple. Yeah. When I say break, I don't mean 90 yards or even the big one against LSU that Lenore's had, but just break a couple here, a couple of chunk plays on the ground would come in handy in this one.
Yeah. Do you realize the number of rushing attempts this year for Carolina? 56, 35, 41, 53, 43, 39, 41. That's 3.7 yards per carry. You're right. Look, Mike, they got to pop a big one. You can average 3.5, but you got to get a big one somewhere.
Well, look, if you go back to our conversations like in July and August, I thought there was a strong chance this team would lead the league in run to pass ratio. And I don't know what the latest numbers are, but they got to be pretty damn close if they're not number one. So it's not my favorite brand of football. I mean, JC will tell you, I love pass happy offenses and I love explosive plays through the air game, but with this current crop, it's not what I was expecting this year. Now next year, big play receivers, another year under Norris's belt, this could look entirely different. But for this year, it is more of a hey, let's run it, let's set up the pass, let's not turn it over. Thought that was a major step last game.
Yeah. No
picks, no fumbles. Keep that going. Probably a good chance to win the game if you don't do that. But yeah, I mean, I love big deep shots downfield. If I was just getting to play like Madden form and call the plays from my house or on my cell phone, I'd dial up moves and there's a lot of things I'd love to see done that would be quote unquote more exciting. But I don't think that's the MO of this offense.
JC.
I'm buy it over 100. Yeah, they should get that. I mean, between Sellers and Sanders, and then they'll bring in Attaway. I'll probably see some end arounds and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll buy it.
Okay.
If I'd be surprised if this number's under 100, I'd be very surprised if South Carolina wins the game.
Yeah, I'm buying it. I'm buying it as well.
But all y'all are right. You need, and how you do that is that you run a balanced attack. You can't just sit there and run and hope one breaks. You got to throw the little short passes. You got to throw it down the field. You got to call stuff on 2nd and 4 that you normally wouldn't, or 2nd and 8. And risk it in a 3rd and long situation, because if they know it, it's much easier to play defense when you can kind of guess accurately what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be a little more balanced, I think, in terms of what they run and when. And that allows you, because, if you catch them in a defense that they're not expecting you to run it, and you do, and Sanders is off to the races, or Sellers, that can work for you.
Just 10 times this year has a rush gone for 20 or more yards against A&M. However, 21 times this year has a pass gone for 20 or more, including 5 60 or more. Pretty impressive.
Double scoring.
Right. Yeah.
Do it or
just do it,
or risk at your own peril. Try to go one-on-one blocking him. I don't like that. Keep a tight end. You could ask a running back to chip, and Raheem is a physical back, but I don't know how well that works either.
So we all bought that. Should have made it 120. That's all right. Okay, Mike, we'll start with you on this one. Mr. Golden Tones. The Aggies, on the flip side, rushed for 212 yards per game in league play. It's pretty good, right? Yeah. But the last two games away from Kyle Field, road neutral sites, just 135. Just 135 has been the average, and it's been consistent. 136 and 134. That gives you 135 right there in the middle. At the same time, how about this? In the last 3 games that they played, this is a crazy number. A&M has run for 13 touchdowns in the last 3 games. 13 on the ground. Okay. The Carolina defense allows just 113 yards per game on the ground, though, in SEC play. So, buy or sell, A&M rushes for less than 150 and 2 or less touchdowns. Buy or sell, 2 or less touchdowns and under 150 yards on the ground for the Aggies.
I'm going to buy for the same reason that I spoke of. Defensive coordinators, they know what the team's strength is. I think clearly you don't want to let A&M turn this into a game where they just dominate the ground. Colin Klein, by the way, is a great offensive coordinator. I can't believe it's. I mean, I remember calling games when he was at K-State and was such a talented quarterback. More people would know him if he didn't play for K-State, but those were good Snyder teams. Those were like 10-win teams, and I think he was actually in the Heisman top 5 one year. So he's really good. He's smart. He's going to try to do that. But this is not LSU's defense. This is Carolina's defense. And I think Carolina's defense is more equipped to get them out of a rhythm where they're just doing what they did to LSU, particularly in that second half. They just gashed them. Absolutely gashed them. So I buy that. Whatever the under is, that's what I'm doing.
You bought it. Yeah.
I'm buying.
It's such an important point that you made, too. For the first time in a long time, there's a lot of confidence in one side of the ball for the Gamecocks. So you have to equate for the fact that we're not just thinking about the fact of, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's more along the lines of, they have to play against South Carolina's defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's very well said. All right, Mrs. Go ahead, Tiger Queen.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we lost one of our Georgia listeners because I guess this is too much. You do realize it's Halloween, right? Jesus, what a people.
No, that's what's his name, man. He's cool, man. I think he's just being funny. Yeah, dude, that's our boy.
They're like clown us on Halloween. We're supposed to be clowns.
No, that guy.
Anyway,
he's been around a while.
Was it the hair guy that offended him? I can take him down if we need to. Was it Conway Twitty?
Yeah, it's definitely
not any worse than Walter.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. I'd be glad to.
I know I said a short-term memory, man.
The Aggies run for 212 per game in league play. Last two, just 135 per game on the road in neutral site. Away from Kyle Field, just 135 per game. 13 touchdowns total on the ground rushing in the last 3 games. The Gamecocks allow 113 on the ground in league play. Buy or sell, A&M rushing for less than 150 and 2 or less touchdowns.
See, the two parts of that, the first part the 150, I'll buy that. The 2 touchdowns, though.
2 or less.
So,
2 or less.
2 or less. Shoot, I guess I could buy that one too. I just rushing touchdowns. I mean, you get a turnover, you get at the 3-yard line. That does nothing for the yardage, but it's a rushing touchdown. I'm gonna sell the 2 or less.
Boo.
I'm gonna sell the 2 or less and buy the yards because in college, your rushing yards sacks are also factored into it in your net total. In case anybody didn't know that.
Okay, so you're saying that they're either going to rush for more than 150 or they're going to score more than 2 touchdowns on the ground.
No, I think they'll rush for less than 250, so I'm buying that. But I'm going below. I'm going to sell the less than 2 touchdowns. I think they'll get 3 rushing touchdowns. Is what I'm trying to say.
So you're selling. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. Cone, penis, head, mad dog. Got to catch your mic on to talk, man. We've been doing this 3 years.
That's all the blood went to his you know what, and that's what happened.
Still can't hear you. There you go.
Bypassed right by my brain. No, I'm buying this. I'm buying the under, which is kind of it's weird to process, but yes, I'm going to buy.
I'll quickly. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I just
I'll
have
buy
so
it
much
too.
belief in this guy. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it.
Well, I think
close,
the big thing there is like when you have a quarterback that's completing 56% of his passes, and let's say they get in the red zone, the field shrinks, and he's going to have to break loose. I mean, I don't know if they're going to just hand the ball off when they have a dual threat quarterback like that. And I think that the Gamecock defenders and the defensive backs and secondary has shown that they can lock teams up in a short field situation. How many times have the Gamecocks turned away teams that were 4th and 1 from the 1 yard line trying to go in? So I think that they'll have to break off a couple of long rushing touchdowns to get over 3. And I really do think that, with the 56% pass completion quarterback, Gamecocks will be able to kind of make them one-dimensional, and they can stop the run.
Reminder, Perry Orth up in 5 minutes here, so don't go anywhere for that. All right, finally, who am I starting with here?
I started the last one. So.
I start with JC. Or Tiger Queen.
Let's go.
Okay, JC. Probably a little bit more confidence in this one on the defensive side of the football. A&M averages 193 yards through the air in league play. Gamecocks allow 212 yards passing per game through the air in league play. Buy or sell Texas A&M under 200 yards passing against Carolina's defense.
Sell.
Oh,
because I think they're good for 1 or 2 big passing plays where their receivers are get open and they just connect. And sometimes if they catch Carolina in a 0 blitz, that could be dangerous. So my theory is they're probably going to hit some big ones every now and then, and the hope is you just limit the damage. So I'm going to sell that.
Just a reminder, Carolina fans, when you're dressed like that, your opinion doesn't matter. Phil, go ahead.
Hold on. What was the number again?
200.
200. Prevent them from going over 200 is buy.
Buy or sell, they're under it.
Buy or sell, they're under. I'm buying it. Yeah, I'm buying it. Under 200. Yeah. I think they're going to have a tough day through the year.
Yeah, the old adage, when you get 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. I'm going to buy it. Mike?
Sell. I think Carolina gets up early. A&M starts throwing a little bit more to try to get back. And they're good enough to hit some plays. It's kind of like fantasy football. Very often you want a quarterback that's got a bad defense around him, because then he's going to have to throw a lot to put up some numbers. Well, I think Carolina, with the crowd, with the week off, with a lot of things going for them, gets off to a good start in this game. And A&M says, "Well, crap, we got to get back in this quickly. Let's start throwing a little bit." So and 200's frankly a pretty low number. I'll go over 200.
Mike, real quick, how many pass attempts do you foresee in this game for A&M?
Well, I mean, Wigman's going to be the guy that throws most of them. As I mentioned the other day on the show, like they won a game that was led by a kid that threw 2 passes.
Yeah.
And Marcel Reed, another Jimbo recruit, by the way. Jimbo's got to be sitting there. I mean, he's counting his money, but he's going to be sitting there going, "Geez, I recruited all these guys. How come I couldn't do this?" I would say, Wigman, if he's playing the majority of the game, you're looking at 25 plus.
Yeah. My over-under was 25, just to be frank with you. And I think to do that, I mean, you're only averaging 8.8, something like that, yards per pass attempt. I mean, they can get there. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to say it's under 200. just because I think that there will be some turnovers at the Gamecocks force that'll cut down some of those numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, those good numbers. They average like 24 per game. All right. And Matt, buy or sell?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy under 200 yards passing.
Okay.
What about you, JB?
Yeah, I'm buying it. I think it's close though. I'm very calculated in how I do these numbers. I think both of those are close. The 150 rushing and the 200. But I'll be honest, if you hold A&M to 350 yards of total offense, if your offense, I don't know, has a pulse, you're certainly in it if you didn't win it. And that concludes this week's Buy or Sell, brought to you by Right to Bear, protectwithbear.com. Protectwithbear.com. Protect your family, self-defense coverage, education, training, and so much more for as low as $15 per month. When we return, Perry Orth will be here. We've got David Nuño ahead as well, the opposing view, and our Fab Five. It's a jam-packed Thursday. Stick around. We'll be right back.
There's nothing like Saturday in South Carolina. However you enjoy Gamecock football, Gamecock Traditions has a long-standing legacy of being a part of your game day. From tailgates to touchdowns, Gamecock Traditions has what you need and want with our beloved Block C logo. Get into Gamecock Traditions in Lexington or the Village at Sand Hill, or visit GamecockTraditions.com and have it shipped to your doorstep. We look forward to taking care of your family. Go Gamecocks.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
I'm not allowed to tell the ref how bad he is, so I'm going to need you to do that for me. Oh. He said, "You're gone."
I'm a beggar who could use some help. I'm a seeker, searching for myself. I'm a rolling stone, just waiting on a friend. I'm a lover, wishing on a star for another, with a broken heart to hold each other close till the end.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com, man, that's good.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Mr. Bones is very strong. Mr. Bones is never wrong. Mr. Bones, he has no nose. Mr. Bones, he has no clothes. Mr. Bones, he has no nose. Mr. Bones, he has no clothes. Mr. Bones, he has no hair. Mr. Bones, he doesn't care. Mr. Bones is made of bones. That is why he's Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones, he's made of bones. That is why he's Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones is very strong. Mr. Bones is never wrong. Mr. Bones, he has no nose. bronze, he has no clothes. Mr. Bones, he has no hair. Mr. Bones, he doesn't care. Mr. Bones is made of bones. That is why he's Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones is not inside. Mr. Bones is never wrong.
12:33. How did I know that Mad Dog, Conehead, Penis Head, Mullinax today would want to play Mr. Bones? Probably something that makes him, Perry, we're really sorry about this, man.
Why? Why are you
I don't have any.
apologizing? It's not like it's just some Tuesday in the middle of the summer. Then
I know, but you dressed as a penis and JC dressed as a woman. Like could have been like
got a bunch of dang Democrats on here.
The group chat has some good ones in there, Perry. You should have seen them.
Inaccurate.
Kamala. JC is voting for Kamala.
Oh my God! Yeah, I told somebody, I'm not making any political statements here,
right?
I don't know about that. Yeah,
I don't
You're
know
making some kind of
how
statement.
like that even has become political, but anywho,
it sucks.
crazy.
Yeah, that's but I don't care.
A bunch of garbage. That's all you guys are.
I think it's just a fun thing. Like honestly, we're just having fun on Halloween.
Of course. Hey,
That's
nobody's
right.
complaining about it.
No, you're right.
Hey, this is an award-winning outfit, right? I won $40 at the bar on Tuesday, man.
Yeah, that's true. Perry, he did all this for $40. Even put on lipstick. Can you believe that? Put on lipstick.
The lipstick makes it, dude.
Yeah, you're right, man. You nailed it. All right, Perry. Hey, man, I want to read your tweet. That cool? Let's start there. I want to read your tweet from a couple of days ago. There was a tweet out about all the quarterbacks, young ones, that are all on the bench in the league. Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Will Levis, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett. And you retweeted. You said, bold take. Pure progression passing game is killing the young QBs. Coverage-based plays with built-in answers. Coach Spurrier's menu 1 through 10. Steamers and YZ drag. You can run an entire pass game out of it.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Okay. So the pure progression passing game. Is anybody here on the panel? Does anybody know what that is?
Well,
that means you're having your quarterback make the decision. Like on one, you go 1, 2, and then 3, and then there's an out. Maybe if I say, am I right?
I mean, is it levels almost in a sense?
No, it's not a levels. It's JC's very close. Yeah, it's a 1, 2, 3 read, regardless of coverage, right? It's not open middle, closed middle, I'm working here to here, or open middle here to here. It's I've got an alert, and then I've got 1, 2, 3. Then you can eliminate alerts based off of coverage, but it doesn't. You can get away with being like, he's my primary, he's open now, I can just get the ball out, and throw it to him, versus actually understanding what the other team is doing. And I honestly, I remember thinking about this when I was in college, because Coach Roper, we did a little bit of the open middle, closed middle, but also a little bit of pure progression. That was my first introduction to even what that was, because I played for a guy in high school that Mike Lloyd played in the NFL. Old school, he had a number system, like it'd be 787, and 7 X ran a 7 route, Y ran the 8, and I think it was Z ran the other 7, right? So it was like, but then from a conceptual and a reading and a processing standpoint, it was open middle. You got either 4 or 2. They could run variation, but from a back end, that's what they're going to be doing. Now, based off of that coverage, you have a play called, let's try to exploit the area of the field that is most vulnerable for the play that you have called, right? And then you process that, then you have to go and obviously then you have to go and execute it. And so then Coach Spurrier's menus, right? Menu 1 through 10, it was menu 1. You knew you could run that concept out of 3x1, but 3x1 doesn't simply mean trips, right? Like Coach Spurrier's menu 1 is a 3x1 concept. It's corner, right? Attack and open middle, right? If safeties are tight, you can throw corners.
Mm-hmm.
Wide, you got the bender. You also have underneath options with the swing route by the back and a tight end running kind of a spot route coming into your vision as you read corner to cover 2 posts with a 5-yard under coming from the far outside receiver. So you can run that out of a true trips, 10 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 into the boundary with a back into the boundary, or you can run it out of, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers to the right, back into the boundary, or you can run it with tight end off the ball on a hit. And so that was the big thing is it didn't matter the formation. It was just know the play, then we can run it out of any formation because you know that if I have, if I'm on the front side of menu 1, I have a corner, right? But it wasn't a corner far spot cover 2 post. It was if I have cover 2 and I've got tight safeties, I'm working corner far spot back, right? You always read high to low. You don't want to read swing route to a corner because you're late, then you throw a pick. And so like I've listened to Tom Brady, Kurt Warner talks about it all the time. It's not forcing them to sit down and review the defense and say like, okay, if I get this formation, the defensive coordinator and the defensive tendency is to do this coverage or these coverages, right? And so I know that if I line up here, they're going to give me an open middle look here, but then also have shown rotation out of it. So then you just take all of that data, and that's why you listen to Tom Brady. What was that series he had? I think it was Man in the Arena. He talked about like he'd go to practice, he'd do practice, but he was watching 7 to 8 hours of film a day, every day leading up to the game. And all he was doing, he wasn't sitting there like, oh, I need to relearn the plays I've been running for the last 12 years here in New England. It was I need to know what they're doing, what are their tendencies, and then how can I get us ultimately. His thing was, yes, the play might come in and it might be a good play, but it might not be a good play. But I'm the OC on the field. How can I take what I've seen all week on film? I'm in this formation. I have noticed that they do X, Y, and Z versus formation. The play that is called might not be a good call. How do I get my offense into the right call? That's playing quarterback. And that's where he has stated, and I'm not echoing in a sound chamber with Tom Brady, but I would agree that it does force quarterbacks to not learn the other side of the ball, right? They still are. It's not like they're not watching, but the other thing is like you can call pure progression plays that with the right look, yeah, you can rip it. But with the wrong look, and quarterbacks aren't learning to get in and get out of it, it can be a bear. And I just think that that's where they're at. And the other thing too, because of people like CJ Stroud, and I mean, even Mahomes sat a year, but because let's just use Stroud as an example. You put him on the field and he immediately becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That is the anomaly. That's not the normal. And when you rush people out there, I mean, Peyton Manning led the NFL in interceptions. I think might hold the season record. And so, for his rookie year. And so, that it goes to show that quarterbacks need to be developed. JB, I've been telling you this since probably the day I met you. It's the reason I started training quarterbacks is I just don't think that they're developed properly. And I have a passion of doing it.
Perry, I got a question for you with the in-helmet communications that are happening right now with the offensive coordinator, head coach, whatever it is, whoever's designated to talk to the quarterback. Do you think that's also impacting the players on the field this year? Or do you think like when you were coaching at the high school level, that it would have been a benefit for you to be in the ear if you knew what you were talking about, like you clearly do?
Well, I can tell you that if you've never been back there, if you've never played the position, you won't really understand that. Like you have to do it on your own. You can't sit and rely on your coach to give you the answers to the test because he's going to be wrong, right? Like it would kill me if I had a play call and I had a few seconds on the mic and was like, hey, they're going cover 3. And then at the snap of the ball, the quarterback doesn't see it. and he drops back thinking it's cover 3, but they rotate into cover 2, and he's throwing a flat route and hitting the corner in the chest for a pick 6, right? So it can help, but you have to understand, like, you have to let the players play the game. You can't over coach it. You give them the play, maybe give them a tip to look for and say, hey, remember on film that if they, at a 3-by-1 or out of our trio formation, remember they're going to try to play quarter halves. Then you got to shut it down. But you can't be like, well, if they do cover 3, then you do this. You can't cover that 20-second window. So you don't want to, have them drink from the fire hose each and every play, because now they're in their head. They're not playing. They're at South Carolina for a reason. They're gifted enough to be out there on the field from an athletic standpoint. And specifically for South Carolina, literally the last thing you want to do is not let Lenora Sellers be an athlete. So,
and that's where I was kind of going with that. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, that's where I want to redirect. But good question, and I want to redirect that question and my initial question into Lenora Sellers, because I want, I asked you that question based on the tweet you were responding to, a tweet that was out there. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you what you were describing there about progression progression passes, and wanted to ask you about his development and is that applying to the two-part question here. Is that applying to the development of Lenora Sellers? That's one, Perry, based on your eyeballs and what you see and understand. The other half of my question is one of our dear buddies, your boy Steven, was on yesterday, and Steven said something that was Mike heard it and kind of nodded his head when he said, very, very, very eye-opening if people have, I don't know, maybe never called a play in their lives or never played quarterback.
Yeah.
You call plays to set up plays.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. If play A or 1 or 7 or whatever it is not executed, it doesn't set up the next play. And so you have to go back and kind of adjust things. And so with a young quarterback and a guy like Coach Loggins, who's coached in the NFL, obviously, and now he's been the OC here for a couple of years, we don't know how much of that happens. Like, he makes a play call and maybe Sellers doesn't make the right read or hands the ball off and he shouldn't have or whatever. They're never going to throw their quarterback under the bus publicly. But how much of that is more realistic than the fan base understands? So I know I just threw a lot into two questions there, but if you can kind of overlap the answers, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I'll start with, touch on the development of Sellers. I think that's been nothing but positive. I think going back to the Oklahoma game, he wasn't running around putting the ball in jeopardy, right? So that was, as we've watched the season unfold, and I've been on the show giving my 2 cents, is more so than the explosive plays and having him watching him make, 1, 2, 3 ball, or 1, 2 shift check down, right? Or it's taking care of the football when the pocket breaks down. Don't, put the ball on the ground and try to spin out and do something crazy. Climb the pocket, stay in there, and then at the last second, then you want to take off and move. I thought he did that a lot better in the last game. From a progression standpoint, it's now you continuing to build on that, taking care of I think that if we win the turnover battle and Norris doesn't turn the ball over Saturday, I think we win. I don't think that they're gifted on offense with the way we play defense to go out and just light up the scoreboard, especially in the environment they're ready to play in. But, from Lenoris' standpoint, so then you take that part of his progression as getting there. Then from a passing game, it's, in my opinion, I think it's more difficult to, and I don't know what we run from a passing game standpoint. It's probably a blend of both. The NFL's big on the pure progression, but they also do the standard open middle, closed middle read. And so that what that does, in my opinion, is that when you're taking away and you're just forcing him to say, hey, open middle, we're working the right side of the field, right? So now you're keying on a certain defender saying that if I sink, you're throwing short. But if he comes hard or jumps something underneath, there's something coming behind you, whether it's a curl flat or a hitch dig, right? It's whatever this guy does, he's wrong. And I've seen that, honestly, a good bit, right? Like if you've I think it was one specific example. I want to say was the LSU game. It's a pretty standard play where you have a stick concept to the field and double slant into the boundary, right? If Mike is more walked over to the field and runs to take the stick, you change your eyes, come back to the slant replace where he just left, and you're throwing completions. I've seen that a couple of times. Those are great plays for somebody at his level, because it's not like, hey, I'm keying this guy, and if he does this and I do that, or if I have this pure progression play, and if they're in cover 2, then I know I'm going shallow cross to dig, or if they're in cover 4, then I'm going, then I'm starting with my alert. It eliminates a lot of the thinking. Whereas if this guy goes right, you go here. If he's left, you go here. Or if they line up here, you're going right. If they line up here, you're going left. It eliminates the post snap thinking. Pre snap is okay. Post snap, when if you're doing that, or you're hanging on to the ball too long, or you're looking at the rush, that's when you see quarterbacks struggle, especially young ones. And then, oh my God, I've got to make a play, pat, throw, or I've got to run out and do some kind of crazy play. We want to eliminate the crazy plays, play within the offense. And then when the opportunity comes for you to use your legs for those crazy plays, then you do it. But you don't need to save the game. We have enough defense, special teams, run game, talent around him to where that doesn't and shouldn't fall all on him.
Perry Orth joining us. It is 12:49. All right, how much have you seen out of quarterback Marcel Reed at A&M? Have you seen a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay.
As in the wise words of Coach Spurrier, he's not exactly a big thrower, and he's more of a runner. We'll put him in there to run it.
That's what I was going to ask you to do. Compare. I mean, I think maybe people have forgotten. There could be 2 redshirt freshmen starting in this game Saturday night. Most likely. I mean, we're going to talk to David Nuño here in about 10 minutes, so maybe he'll have a little insight. But they're both redshirt freshmen. I was going to ask you to compare and contrast the 2 of them, Lenoris and Marcel.
Yeah, well, Marcel's an athlete just like Lenoris is. I mean, Lenoris is a bigger guy. I think he could do more running between the tackles. I think Lenoris is a much more polished passer, and I think he gives you a better threat in the passing game. I actually have an employee of ours who's a diehard Texas A&M fan, and he actually thinks they're going to start Wegman and then bring Marcel in if they need him. Which I don't know if I would do that, because then I wouldn't want that kid dropping back to pass versus our front. But hey, I hope they do, so he gets eaten alive. But yeah, I don't think Marcel is as good of a passer. I mean, I think that words talk and numbers scream. When you throw the ball 2 times, then you go on, oh yeah, Marcel is just as gifted of a passer as blah, 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 and he can do all these other things. Well, why did you throw it with him twice? Right. So I think that they make themselves very one-dimensional, and it worked well. And sometimes that happens by playing your cards right in ball game, but who genuinely gives you the best chance to win this week? I don't know enough about A&M or the other kid, but I do know that the other kid played against Missouri and they beat the daylights out of them.
I don't think A&M has any chance of winning if Marcel Reed is your guy for 4 quarters, because he's 185 pounds soaking wet. So he's not going to be able to just run through that defense like Swiss cheese. As you mentioned, the arm talent, maybe it's there someday, but that, I don't see him having much success at all throwing the ball against that Carolina secondary. So I think they start Wigman, and I think he's the guy that's going to be out there more often than not. If you want to roll the dice with Reed for 4 quarters.
Oh, he won the game in Florida. He was their starter and played the entire time.
I know it.
They only threw it 17 times in that game.
And Florida doesn't have Carolina's D, just like LSU doesn't
not
have
even
Carolina's
close.
D. Not even close. Like this defense to me would be a nightmare for Marcel Reed.
Yeah, on the road at night. But isn't the other kid, he's a freshman, ain't he? Wegman?
No,
he's been there for 3 years.
He's had injuries. That's why it feels like that, Perry, because he's been hurt so much. When he's been healthy, he's actually been pretty good.
Yeah, he started against Carolina in 22 when they beat A&M here.
Yeah, he got knocked out.
Right.
JB.
Do what?
I thought he got hurt in the game.
He did get hurt
in the middle of the game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's been because NFL scouts actually
Oh, you know what? You're right. Wegman came in. No, Wegman did not start that game.
No, Wegman came in 2022 and played well. He's erratic. He's a guy that, like, in certain situations this year, like Missouri, and he's a front runner. When things are going well, he's good. But when things are not, like against Notre Dame in the opener, he was 12 for 30. Yeah. So I'm with Perry on this. I hope they start him because that's a better matchup to me than them trying to run like zone read right at the defense. Carolina hadn't seen a team that's just going to run right at them yet.
You're right. Haynes King got
Haynes got hurt in the Jimbo game, and then Wegman came in late, and they played well. So I agree with. But then Mike, you make an excellent point too, because if you can't run the ball against Carolina, who would you rather have dropping back and chunking it? Like in obvious passing downs,
it's
because Reed could be erratic or whatever.
I just don't think with that Carolina defense, if you go in there predictable play calling, which is what they are going to be with Reed, I don't think he's going to light it up through the air against that defense and that secondary. So you're bringing him in to do, like you said, zone read, and look, he's explosive now.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. And honestly, I agree with JC as he agreed with me, I guess.
Double agreement.
But I basically should have dressed up like JC and head to the ballot box and voted Kamala. But
you don't have to have voter ID in a lot of these states now, so you could vote 5 times if you want. You could see Perry Orth one day and JC the other.
Yeah.
Kamala.
But the zone read the running back the running quarterback, the zone read puts our defensive ends in a bind because it's gonna, remember, you guys, if you've heard me talk about this, which I have, is you want to make those elite pass rushers think. You don't want to just let them tee off and come and get you, right? And we talked about putting Myles Garrett in space and making him move. I don't know if I'm going to get cut, have to rush, have a split zone guy coming across the field and hitting me, or getting chipped. And when you put defensive ends in that bind of, you never know if you're going to have somebody arced or zoned or double teamed or whatever, it doesn't allow them to just pin their ears back and come and light you up. And I think it gives them a better matchup. But I tell you, our linebackers have played well. Our interior defensive line has also played well too. So I personally don't think this is a good matchup for Texas A&M at all. I playing at night at Williams-Brice, but also from that standpoint, from how they've played offensively, plus with we are going to have to play well on offense, but they're a big cover one team, man-to-man, expect a lot of crossing, pick routes, and a lot of quarterback run. Bold take, Lenoris carries the ball over 15 times. Called run on Saturday night.
Now, do you think that's going to be in the RPO game? Because that's one of the issues the Gamecocks have had of executing the RPO. Do you think this is a game where the Gamecocks, it's in the playbook, they need to keep it, but at the same time, like, is this a situation where you try and minimize mistakes early?
I wouldn't expect, good man-to-man teams can hurt RPO, because really RPOs are more for zone, because you're this guy moves here and you're throwing there. You've got the numbers out here, but when you've got man-to-man, all the numbers are accounted for. From it's really more quarterback run, right? Forcing the defense to play 11 on 11, right? So you have the zone read with the tight end arcing around, putting that defensive end in a bind. So he sees those offensive line, moving swiftly to one direction, right? Moving left. Then he squeezes, then Lenoris pulls, and he's got a lead blocker from the tight end arcing out in front of him. And so now you got a hat on a hat, which puts, in theory, right, everybody blocks who they're supposed to, puts the safety having to tackle Lenoris in space. That's a tough matchup. Now, I'll be intrigued. I'll be at the game, but how my brain is going to be working is, how does A&M line up and decide they want to play our offense? Are they going to play more of a conservative look and play zone defense and make Lenoris pick them apart? Or are they going to do what they do, play man, and just try to beat us? And if they do that, how do we use Sellers' legs to to exploit their man-to-man defense. That's what I'm really excited for Saturday.
Perry, we'll let you run on that note, my man. Your first Halloween as a father. You got to be pretty excited, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got trick-or-treating tonight, and we're dressing the baby up as an avocado, and mom's going to be a piece of toast, and I will be the same costume I've been since the 10th grade, which is the Black Spider-Man. The full cotton muscles, the mask, the whole 9 yards.
So you do the same every year, guy. That's
yeah, I'm a same every year guy. So they'll do their thing, and I'll dress up with them later. But until then, boys, we'll let's see. We'll talk next Thursday, and by then we'll know one way or the other. We'll know if JC's going to go back to who he is or if he's going to stay in that outfit.
I don't know. It's kind of comfortable, to be honest. Breezy.
Yeah, that's right. Freeing.
I've got a nice breeze going, So anyway. Thanks, Perry. Have a good day. See you later, guy. I hope you enjoy your Spider-Man trick-or-treating tonight.
Sweet. No. All right, we got to get on there. We are powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston. ElectricBikesCharleston.com. The holidays are set to begin. Where else would you buy an electric bike than Electric Bikes Charleston? The best warranties, the best prices, the best service. Gamecock owned and operated at ElectricBikesCharleston.com. When we return, a trip to the Lone Star State. David Nuño with TexAgs.com will give us the opposing view here on ITG.
Yeehaw.
Oh, man. The building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
The electric grid that had been placed under Lambeau so that the field would never freeze.
Those two things are all the NCAA has. That's all they have. They're not worth anything without the men's basketball tournament and now the women's tournament.
Listen to these interviews and more on the JC and Morgan podcast by downloading the Chief Sports app. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I'd like that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Mike here for my good friend Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. Let's face it, it's been a rough go for mortgage rates the last couple of years. And now more than ever, you need someone on your side to get you the very best possible rate on a new mortgage or a refi. That's where Troy comes in. 27 years of experience working for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, rehabilitation loans, all doable with my man Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. And when I say doable, I mean the best possible rate that's out there. It's a phone call that can literally save you thousands of dollars. 803-238-0111. 803-238-0111. You can also check out the website ggmortgage.com.
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
If you're a fan of music, incredible storytelling,
one of our friends had met this beautiful girl at the bar that night.
the bit of history, you should check out my new show, Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis. Every episode features a unique South Carolina town, a different stage, and music from world-class singer-songwriters. Join me for Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan that meets your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, in Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products in out-of-state locations. Gamecock owned and operated. Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com, thebarndominiumco.com.
Bells ringing down cobblestone Charleston streets. She's the morning sun rising on the horseshoe at USC. She's moonlight on black water, a John Deere down a Greer Farm road, moving nice and slow. No, there ain't nothing like her. She's a southern one of a kind. Even in my dreams I still find her. She's like an old friend awaiting when I close my eyes. And how lucky I am to call her mine. No, you'll never find another like my Carolina. My Carolina. Talking about my Carolina. Talking about my Carolina. My Carolina.
It is the final hour of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Welcome back. It is Thursday, and it is Halloween. Happy Halloween. Built by the Barn Door Co. and presented by our friends at Resto Pros. Resto Pros, there when you need them. David Nuño is here from TexAgs.com. But, Mike, we've got, after this guest, we also have the Fab Five.
We do. We have the Salsaritas Gamecock Traditions Fab Five, brought to you in part by Cut.com. For those of you that want to make a nice personal wager with your friends, your family, maybe another listener, go to Cut.com. Mention promo code Gamecocks, get 10% off. Also by State Farm agent Gary Patterson, also a referee. He'll be working a game somewhere. You'll probably stumble upon him if you're doing some remote surfing. Taking care of everybody in the Midlands, from Lugolf to Columbia to Camden to Blythewood. GaryPatterson.net. Just one easy call. You can switch and save and get into a better plan and have a better person on your side. That's Gary Patterson of State Farm Insurance.
David Nuño joins us, TexAgs.com, Director of Broadcasting. Thank you for dressing as something normal. Phil's supposed to be a conehead. Clearly, he looks like something different. And JC looks like the Tiger King's Tiger Queen. So we apologize for that. But happy Halloween, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. And I'll be very honest with you. I would probably wear this on a Thursday anyway. It just happens to be Halloween, so the Batman theme kind of works. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Batman needs no day. It's okay.
No, that's right. Yes, every day. That's right, man. Well, look, we only have
guys, I got to apologize, by the way. Time zones get me, even though I do the math and people tell me 1 o'clock Eastern. Okay, in my head, even though I wrote down Eastern, I'm thinking 1 o'clock Central like a big idiot. So I apologize for getting it confused.
No worries, no worries. Yeah.
We deal with that all
it gets
the
me
time.
too. And sometimes I forget where the lines are, and so when I'm talking to people or trying to book them for the show, I'm just like, yeah, 1 o'clock. I'm like, wait. I need to be specific here.
When you travel a lot around the SEC, as I do, that is the number one thing that will trip you up, because you got about half the teams now in the Central and the other half in the East, and you see all these times, meetings, conference calls, appointments, and like, wait a minute, what is that, Central? Is that Eastern? Like, that's just routine. That's just what you do. And you never get it right. You just hope to bat like 500. That's the best you can hope for.
Yeah. Live from courtside in Tuscaloosa, where
where it's an
Damian
hour
Fishback will be the play-by-play guy tonight, because Mike thought the game was at 7 o'clock.
There's no one here. Why is nobody here? Did they not get the memo?
David, man, we really are glad to have you. Thank you so much. This is an exciting football game. A&M, I think we were talking about them earlier, and I love the term very difficult to beat, because they don't beat themselves. But we didn't come on to talk about that. Everybody just wants to know who the quarterback's going to be. You should know that by now. No, but I think you look back at that record, right? The not a lot of mistakes by this team. What has Mike Elko done in his short tenure to get all that cleaned up?
You know, the beauty is you hear all these opening day press conferences and you think, all right, this coach speaks my language. And they always speak our language, right? No matter who it is. Like Jimbo Fisher spoke my language day one. All these guys speak your language. But then to hear it and then see it actually play out the way he described it. He always talks about the 6 inches in front of your face, like each day matters. That sounds like a lot of coach speak. It's when you're able to get your team to buy into it. And I think that has been the case. This A&M team the last few years, guys, people talk about the Jimbo Fisher era as this horrible era. They were robbed of a playoff chance, in my opinion, in 2020. And I'm curious what that could have done for the culture. Maybe nothing, because it's not like they were lacking for talent. But after that year, the 8-4 year, the 5-7 year, the 7-5 year, you look at those teams, it's not like teams were blowing out A&M, right? These were games that came down to a possession or two, and that's life in the SEC for all the teams that are in it. But A&M was like, they were leading Alabama last year, and they, in the fourth quarter, and they gave that game away. And when I say gave that game away, it sometimes rings hollow, because LSU fans think they gave that game away to A&M, and I think A&M took that game from LSU. So what I'm saying is, this coach not only is about that life, but you see the difference in the fourth quarter because that's where A&M has been able to beat teams. They have controlled the line of scrimmage in every game in the fourth quarter minus the Notre Dame game. And that was, to me, a horrible game to start off with. In the beginning, I was like, oh, this is a great game to start off with. But with a new coach and a new era with half your roster different, to go against a team that did have experience and a great defensive line, maybe the best or second best defensive line A&M is going to face all year, that was a hard way to start. But to answer your question in a 30-minute version, I should have kept it to 30 seconds. Coach Elko, everything he preached, they have done. And the coach speak works with this group of guys. They've bought into it. And that starts with Coach Elko, all the assistants, and especially their strength and conditioning coach, Tommy Moffitt.
Yeah, I'm going to steal something from JC that he said the other day when he was a normal human being. He said, for the longest time, the A&M was missing a ball coach. A ball coach. Get rid of the glitz and the glamour and all this highfalutin junk. We just need a ball coach around here. And you're talking about, Mike, I think you've mentioned this numerous times over the years that we've been doing it. That's a scary program to get going because I don't know that they'd really be able to slow down. There's so much money, obviously, as you know, so much talent. And it's like there's always just something missing from going from like a really solid, good football program to an elite football program. But now they've got a ball coach, and that seems like it could be making a difference maybe a lot sooner than a lot of us initially thought.
I thought this team was going to be pretty good this year, but I was teetering, and this could still happen, by the way. There's still a lot of football to be played, but I thought they were more like an 8-4, 9-3 level of team.
Yeah,
that's what I expected, and I've been thinking that the last couple of years. This is what this team should be, right? A&M, we think that a bad year should be 9-3, 8-4. Well, that seems to be a good year the last few years. So that's what I thought, but then you see some of the challenges that I didn't expect. I did not expect for Connor Wigman to take a huge step back. And he has taken, and I don't know if it's because of the injury. I don't know if it's because his confidence, the third offensive coordinator he's had in the last 3 years. But let's not forget the Connor Wigman that South Carolina saw 2 years ago when he made not his debut, but when he came in the fourth quarter of that game where South Carolina went up 17-0. We all know how that one started. And Connor came in as a freshman and gave them a chance to win in the final couple of minutes of that game. Gave them a chance, right? He just gave them that opportunity. That's not the same Connor we've seen for the most part this year. So I didn't expect that to take such a step backward. And nobody expected Marcel Reed to come out of the woodworks the way he has. But the thing is, this team has been able to beat you a couple of different ways. They can beat you with Marcel, running that zone option read, or they can beat you on, only a couple of different times this year with Connor Wigman in the pocket throwing. And the one that all comes to mind is that Missouri game. Obviously, South Carolina is a different level of defense.
That would lead me to my question, David, and that is, for my money, this is the best defense A&M's seen since Notre Dame. I'm not even sure if it's that close. I think this defense is a different level than LSU. It's a different level than Florida. It's a different level than Missouri. So walk with us through. We were talking how we think this game unfolds, and who knows? It's always unpredictable. But if both defenses key on the ground game and kind of jam things up and stack the box, what have you, how do you think A&M's passing game responds via either Wigman or Reed?
Well, my gut is going to be Reed, the quarterback. Like, how can you go away from that? Would I be surprised if Connor starts this next game? No, I wouldn't be surprised. Here's what I worry about with Connor Wigman. That pass rush, everybody knows about it, is ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. And if Connor is not confident in his escapability, then he's going to be. If South Carolina can get after a quarterback, they're going to get after Connor if he's not being decisive. That's where the Marcel Reed zone option read really becomes a dagger, because if you can't get passing going anyway, at least you have his legs. What I would counter with all that is A&M is probably the best running team South Carolina has faced. Mm-hmm. And the team that's their bread and butter. We're going to run the ball. And if I know that Alabama tried to run the ball, was it 36 times for 101 yards, something to that effect. Alabama's not the same caliber of running team that A&M is. So If A&M can't run the ball, then you're going to have some major problems, right? Because this offense is all about running the ball. I'd be curious to see how the interior part of the defensive line matches up with the running game. I know they stopped everybody they faced, but I'd be curious to see if a team, that's what they're going to do. And one thing about A&M running the ball, and this is by far the best defense, and maybe even better than Notre Dame. How does that defensive line work in the fourth quarter? As good as they are, and I think they're fantastic, when A&M has had success in games, it is basically winning the line of scrimmage in the fourth quarter. I'm not suggesting that this offensive line that's been really good this year, minus Chase Basantis for the second straight week, is going to dominate that kind of defensive line. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm curious what it looks like in the fourth quarter after chipping away the way they've done to LSU, the way they did to Arkansas. Again, not the same level of defensive line. This is more like Notre Dame. But I think A&M has certainly grown since that Notre Dame game.
Well, David, tell us a little about the offensive line for Texas A&M and what's been led them to so much success running the football.
Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. Two things have happened. They've always had the personnel. They had the personnel last year, but they weren't coached right. Steve Adazio was a legend on the offensive line in the coaching ranks for years, but that was a long time ago. His philosophy did not work with today's type of athlete in this new NIL portal world. He's a big yeller, and I don't think the development was there. I don't think they developed the guys. So what I think has happened is they bring in Adam Cushing, and he has done a brilliant job at development, but also getting on the same page with these guys. So that's part of it, the scheme, the approachability, the way he talks to them. And also they brought in some dudes, right? Like if you look at some of these players, right? Armaj Reed Adams, I mean, he brings a chair with him before the game starts. He's hitting the floor. You want some dudes on your offensive line, and they have that mentality. And then I'm going to go back to Tommy Moffitt, our strength and conditioning coach, or A&M strength and conditioning coach. His whole philosophy is about being at your best at the end of games, and he has made them work to that. In the first few days of training back in February with Coach Moffitt, these guys couldn't finish these sessions. They were finishing it in the spring, and that's why I think they have been at their best in the fourth quarter.
David, I think you're asking a wonderful question as to what that Gamecock front looks like after 4 quarters of, running the football, regardless, or at least after 3 quarters, regardless of how successful it was. One of the things that the Gamecocks were blessed with this year up there is depth for the first time in a long time. But it brings up a very curious question as to how they use that depth from time to time. Early in games, we'll see a series or two where you don't see a ton of Kyle Kennard or Dylan Stewart or somebody on the interior swapped out for 4 or 5 plays, and you'll see the ball move a little bit, and then they'll get those guys back in there, and things will slow themselves back down in order to preserve some of that energy for the fourth quarter. But I think a lot of the answer to the question that you're asking actually has to do with the other side of the football. And it's, can Carolina's offense stay on the field and move it? And you look at the Aggies defensive line, all the credit you're giving to South Carolina, and it's deserved and certainly welcomed. But those guys are pretty good too. And Nick Scorton is really good, as we all well know. They only give up 74 yards per game against league opponents. That's number 1 in the SEC. So what do they, outside of him, tell us about the rest of those guys and our audience about the rest of those guys, what they do so well, how you can maybe penetrate that a little bit. Phil, don't get excited. How you can penetrate that a little bit. And South Carolina's rushing offense this year has certainly struggled from time to time. So they're going to have to find a way to do something there. What's the key to that success?
I think that's a great question. And what I'm going to tell you is teams have been able to run on A&M for a little bit. For instance, I think it was Mississippi State. They had 91 yards rushing in the first quarter. They didn't have anything else after that. A&M's ability to make adjustments, especially at the half, but in-game adjustments has been fantastic on the defensive side. We saw the adjustment they made offensively in the third quarter by bringing in Marcel Reed, and it changed the whole complexion. But I'm talking defensively. Where A&M struggles is big plays. I know Lenore Sellers can throw it deep when he needs to, and that's where A&M's Achilles heel has been this year. Every game you can point at a play or two, like there was a big play, like a breakdown in the secondary, maybe a defensive lineman being a step away from getting a sack. But their adjustments have been so good And what they do is they just shut off the running game. Jaquindon Jackson did nothing against A&M, right? He came in there as the big name. You just go down the list. LSU, the running game looked promising the last 3 weeks heading into that game. They shut that down to what do they have? 42 yards rushing against A&M, something, some number like that. So if you're going to have success on this defensive line, there's Shamar Stewart, there's Shamar Turner, there's DJ Hicks, there's Rodas Johnson, and obviously Nick Scorden, and they got a cast of characters. I mean, they got 5 stars for days at that position. They got guys, they have multiple Shamars on the team that you don't know which is the better one. That's what shows you. When you have 2 Shamars that are probably going to the NFL here in a few months, that just shows you the depth and the level of defensive line that they have. But again, I think there's a couple places they're vulnerable. Linebacker has been a lot better the last 3 weeks, but early in the season, linebacking the crew, Torian York, as good as he was as a freshman, I would say that group early on in the season took a step back, but Torian's had 3 consecutive weeks of really good football. The secondary, Will Lee has been fantastic, but I don't know if that's going to be South Carolina's their strength, right? Because I think that's one of the areas of concern offensively for South Carolina. Do they have playmakers? So you're going to have to run the ball. I think Lenore Sellers is going to have to run that ball as well and not get injured because, and forgive me if I'm wrong, was it the LSU game where he had to leave for a little while where he was banged up a bit? Am I right about that?
Yeah, he came out of the game. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that kind of changed the way that game felt immediately, right? So if Lenore Sellers can get out and run, and I think that's an area that A&M is not vulnerable because they did a great job stopping Taylor Green. Michael Van Buren at Mississippi State was successful in the first half of that game against them, kind of got shut down a little bit in the second half. But I think he's going to have to be able to run on them. Even though they give up a ton of sacks, I think he is going to be the difference maker. If he has a good game, South Carolina wins.
Yeah, hey, Mike, before you ask, I just want to throw a quick number in here because you mentioned the big plays, and we've talked about some of that this week, and the fact that the Aggies are susceptible to some. By the way, so is the Gamecocks defense. They've been blitzed a couple of times down the field this year, but I found this number just astounding. This is really wild. The last 4 games that A&M has played have been all against SEC opponents, right? Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi State, and LSU. I don't know if anybody realizes this, and I'm just interested as to I know that the yardage through the air because of those big plays is higher than Coach Elko and his staff would like to see it. But does anybody realize that opponents are only completing 51% of their passes in the last 4 games against them? That's pretty remarkable. So I'm not sure if that's David. I'm not sure if that's all because of the guys up front and the disruptions they call, or if the secondary is just kind of hey, hit or miss. I don't know what it is, but 51% is 51%. So you don't complete a lot of passes against these guys, but you do have to hit some big ones.
You do, and I'll say this: Will Lee has been spectacular there. The blanket. I don't know if you guys saw the couple of weeks back. Who was it? It was Missouri coming into the stadium, and Luther Burden said that somebody delivered a blanket to his hotel room, and it was signed by Will Lee. And, that's his nickname, the blanket. And he showed up to Kyle Field with the blanket on him. Will Lee did not send it to him. It was something that Drink was doing to try to get his guys. At least we believe it was Drink trying to get his guys motivated. Luther Burden didn't have a good game against Will Lee. He's been spectacular. I'm going to tell you, it's the defensive line giving that secondary as a group opportunities because, like if you look at the LSU game, 2 things happened. First off, Nuss is the most spectacular quarterback, especially in that first half that I had seen this year. Every quarterback A&M has faced, Nuss was by far the best. I think Michael Van Buren was very close. But in the second half, what changed? He didn't have the time, right? He was now throwing across his body. He felt the footsteps because the defense was starting to get to them. And you talk about some of the yards. Like last week, he threw for 450, I think it was. Part of that was, 400. He threw for 250 in the first half. Part of that was these big plays. These big plays happened so much on 3rd down, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 15. They were just completing. And what A&M was doing, they weren't tackling well in the first half. And there was just a split second off in that first half. So if you can hit these plays, you're going to get some opportunities to move the ball. The question then becomes, can you get inside the red zone? Because what A&M did so well against LSU, even when LSU was dominating that game, was they were kicking 48, 49-yard field goals. And I don't care what college kicker out there, they're typically not that, especially on the road, that accurate from 45 plus on the road, especially in that hostile environment. And by the way, we have a lot of respect for what the environment is going to be there this weekend.
You talked about some of the weaknesses or inconsistencies with Wigman. Is there a game or maybe a key stretch in time this year where you say, okay, they've kind of tapped into some of Reed's limitations? Like, we all know he is a super explosive runner, but paying it forward to Saturday, I mean, what do you think Carolina's defense does to cause him to hear some of those footsteps and have some issues? Because I don't think he's going to be able to just slice and dice this Gamecock defense the way he did LSU in that second half. I just don't see that happening. So if he's out there a lot, what is it you could see as a possible pitfall for him in the A&M offense?
I'm glad you brought that up. So I said that, the better quarterback is going to win this game. That is true, and it goes with which defense capitalizes on that moment, right? So if a defense is able to turn that into points, that's the team that's going to win this game. One thing about Marcel Reed is, so far, knock on wood for A&M, he hasn't had an interception. He's been really good protecting the ball.
Yep.
I will look at the Arkansas game, because the Arkansas game is that game where I'm like, man, they need Connor Wigman. For 3 quarters, I was thinking that in my head. Man, like, they're just not moving the ball. They're just not moving the ball. And then in the fourth quarter, it was a very simple play. They were backed up, I believe, to the 2-yard line. And Marcel just did this rollout, and there was all this space because of his speed. And he found an open Noah Thomas, got the first down. They got a little space, and they got momentum going. And that's when Le'Veon Moss started just eating up that defensive line of Arkansas, right? So I think the thing with Marcel is, yeah, he's a little limited in his passing. He threw a beautiful ball last week to Noah Thomas. I mean, for 45 yards. It was incredible. Right after LSU had scored, they were trying to steal back the momentum. First play, throws it deep. Beautiful, right? He could throw a pretty ball. He's just not as he doesn't see the field. And I don't think Connor Wigman is seeing the field very good right now. But when Connor is locked in, he doesn't see the field the way Connor does. But, yeah, if you can get him early into some tough spots, he is vulnerable. And I think that Arkansas game is the game that I looked at where they were able to get to him, and he also had a hard time completing passes. He's still throwing for over 140, 150 yards a game. And there haven't been many games, just the Arkansas game, where he was not able to rush the ball well. And that's one thing that I'm curious. How does, Arkansas's defense is good, but it's not at the level of South Carolina. So which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes to me? Because I don't expect for A&M to throw for 200 yards on this South Carolina defense. I don't know if they're going to be able to rush for 200 yards on this South Carolina defense. There's a lot of unknowns there. You just can't make mistakes. A&M, for the most part, has done a good job not making mistakes. One area last week that I found interesting, though, is they had a lot of penalties, and a lot of dumb penalties, to be honest with you. And Coach Elko even addressed it at halftime. There's a video on the Pulse that kind of is like, we can't be having those. You have those on the road, oh my goodness. That's a hole that's very hard to get out of.
David, I'll leave you with a stat really quick that I thought was really interesting, just looking at Marcel Reed. On his dropbacks and rush attempts, he's averaging a touchdown. Not a first down, but a touchdown on 7.3% of his dropbacks and rushing attempts. And he might be one of the most electric players in college football when he gets going. And it'll be interesting to see if he can complete enough passes against South Carolina if he does indeed get the start. And then my follow-up question would be, it seems like Marcel Reed, you believe, is probably going to start. It's hard to go away from him right now. But what does that do to the A&M offense team in general if South Carolina does get out to a lead and a quarterback change is made for A&M?
That's interesting. So you're saying if South Carolina – I don't know if they're going to be going back and forth. I don't think that's going to be the case. So if Marcel was the starter, that would mean South Carolina would be up by significant points, right? Because I don't think they're going to take them out if it's a 7-3 game. Even if
like
he's
a 17-3 or 13-0 after the second quarter.
I'd have to see how the game is going because it's hard to answer. I should play the game better. I'm sorry. But to me, Coach Elko's just got this gut feeling that it's time, right? And he didn't think it was time against Notre Dame. Maybe against Notre Dame, had he gone to Marcel, or had he gone to Marcel at all, maybe they do win that game because it was a tie game with 2 minutes left. But there's not a lot more evidence now with Marcel than there was before. If Connor Wigman is throwing darts and is comfortable, like we saw against Missouri, that guy puts you in a great position to win. But I don't think against this defense you want to chance that, right? Because he just doesn't have the escapability that Marcel has, and this defense will get after you. So I don't see them doing that, but I'd have to see how the game is played. If you can't run the ball with Marcel and Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels, and your only hope is throwing on that secondary, I guess. I have a feeling there would be a bigger chance for a quarterback change if Connor starts than if Marcel starts.
So to summarize that, if Marcel is the starter, you think it's his game?
I think so. But again, knowing Coach Elko, he's going to go with feel. And, the good thing is this team, they don't just say it. They believe they can win without a quarterback.
That's awesome. That's a big statement. That's really cool.
It's pretty wild. Yeah. Sometimes when you have two, you don't have one, but it sounds like A&M is going to play both on Saturday night, and they're very comfortable doing that.
Well, think about this, guys. I don't agree with two quarterbacks either, but the two quarterbacks have won them a couple of games, right? Because Missouri did not expect Connor, and Connor torched them. LSU did not expect Marcel, and Marcel torched them. And then I'll say this too. Marcel Reed came in through a very difficult stretch of the season when Connor Wigman went down, where this team has had injuries before in years past, and their numbers go down. What do? They went on the road in Florida and won their first road game in 3 years. What do they do after that? They won against Arkansas and Gerald, a game that was tied entering the fourth quarter. What do? They won against a Bowling Green team that was try hard. They just kept on, chipping away, and had a chance in the last game. Marcel Reed has proven through his high school career and his short college career, which includes coming in the bowl game, the Texas Bowl last year, after the first play of the game when Jalen Henderson went down. At fourth quarterback, threw for 350 yards in a loss, but came in there unexpected play as a freshman and dazzled. Guy's just got a winning DNA, and I don't think you have to give that an opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
100% agree. Well, I tell you what, man, I really do think this is probably, I think a lot of us agree, it's probably a lower scoring game. And it's a line of scrimmage game. Gamecocks offensive line this year just hadn't been that good. And they're last in the nation in sacks allowed. That is a scary proposition against this A&M defense. And then the flip side. So the defensive lines are going to make a big impact on this game. I think we all know that. Are you making the trip to Columbia?
I am. I'm leaving tomorrow. Hey, and I want to make a point about that you just said. It's funny, as a talk show host, what we remember is what we get wrong, right? Like, that's what I remember. Not the stuff I get right, although I can spit off some things I've gotten right. I remember in my head thinking the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame's got like third stringers on the offensive line. They're coming to Kyle Field. They're going to get destroyed. That offensive line was fantastic against A&M. Like, we couldn't get to Riley Leonard. So it's interesting in this chess piece kind of football game that a coach knows what works for a team, and they will make the necessary changes. In that game, Riley Leonard threw the ball so quick, they didn't have a time to get to him, right? And potentially, Shane Beamer's thinking the exact same thing. If Lenore Sellers is going to throw, he better be able to connect on the short to intermediate pass.
Yeah, there's no doubt. They got to get the ball out of his hand. They're going to have to they're going to have to roll him out and reset the pocket, and they've got to go to the quick game and get the ball out to try to loosen some things up. I think it's going to be a great game. I think a lot of us are expecting it to be a great game, and Sean McDonough is going to call it, so it probably will be on Saturday night. Hey, David, you are welcome back anytime, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. TexAgs.com is a fantastic website. Y'all do as good as anybody in the country. We hope you enjoy Columbia. It's always, I think I'll say this because I've seen every fan base in Columbia, South Carolina. The Aggies fan base is always welcome. They're always, it's a great group of people. Obviously, you're in the media, so it's a little bit different, but the media and the fans and when they make their way to Columbia, I know some folks take exception to the midnight yell on the State House steps on Friday nights before. So maybe down the road, we might need to look at adjusting that. But outside of that, as far as welcoming a group to town, it's always neat to see them come. Much more so than, like Georgia, Tennessee. Like, nobody wants all that crap around. You know what I mean?
Hey, just wait till we start winning, if we ever start winning. When we start winning at a high level, because we're going to be just like that. Because I'm going to tell you, as a longtime Houston sports fan, I'm an Astros guy, and not that baseball is my first love, but and for years, the Astros are now one of the most hated fan bases out there for the cheating scandal, and also because how good the team has been over the last 10 years. If A&M figures it out, and it feels like we're going to be in that same breath. But until then, I hope to see you guys.
It's like I always say, David. Nobody hates Vanderbilt. No one ever hates Vandy.
Yeah, nobody hates South Carolina generally either.
Generally hate
maybe Alabama hates Vandy.
Well, Alabama hates them now, yeah. But in general, they're pretty like, Vandy fans. We like those guys. We love Nashville.
Well, I was in the ballpark in 2010 when Kenny Trill came in and threw all over the yard, and that was
What's he doing now? Is he running a taco stand in the College Station? What's going on?
I haven't seen Kenny. He transferred to TCU his last couple of years, so I don't know what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I don't know, but I remember everything about that day. Thinking,
absolutely.
Oh, we're in the top 10. The Aggies are in town. They don't know anything about the SEC and being this and that and the other.
But by the way, David, a little bit. It's not too late to poach Mark Stoops again if you want to give that another shot over there.
Hey, I didn't tweet this because I didn't want to make myself an embarrassment, but when Texas started throwing bottles on the field against Georgia, I was thinking to myself, man, this happened on the TexAgs message board when they thought Mark Stoops was going to be the coach. They basically did the exact same thing. Yeah, right. They just typed it.
That's
right. That would have been something. That would have been something and that was very close to happening. If you talk to people in the inside, they'll tell you like that was not just internet rumors.
That was it was close.
Well, I think and on that note, we'll let you run, man. But I think that there's a ton of people out there that think, and probably I would say rightfully so, that this is the most difficult challenge that's left to set up what would be the showdown of showdowns with the Longhorns at the end of the season. If you get through this one, feel pretty good, like they could win the next couple. I know they got the trip to Auburn, but then here come the Longhorns. So we'll see. But have a safe trip, man. Welcome to Columbia. Welcome to town. And hopefully it's a spectacular game on Saturday night. Thank you so much for your time.
I hope to see you guys this weekend. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, David. David Nuño, TexAgs.com. All right, 1:40. When we return, Mike is going to tee up the Fab Five here on ITG.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores, we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
What Right to Bear is we're an association of members across the entire country, and what we offer is we offer legal defense in the event of a self-defense case. Nice. So it's not insurance. So we offer an attorney in the event that one of our members might have some type of an accident. ProtectWithBear.com. We've got all of our social media accounts on the bottom of our website. We've got blogs, articles, detailed description of all of the coverages in depth, and we'd love to have you come check us out and ultimately get the protection you need.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan that meets your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
Hey, Gamecock fans, Mike Morgan here. During my time in Columbia, one of my favorite places to eat was Salsaritas. When I go back now for work or any other reason, it's still Salsaritas. Yeah, I'm like you. I love tacos. I love Tex-Mex. Where are you going to go to get them? Well, you've got two convenient Salsaritas locations, one in Lexington in the Target Center and one in West Columbia as well. Now, if you like tailgating, and who doesn't, whether it's for a football game or anything else, they've got the catering hotline. Get yourself some Fiesta packs to take tailgating. Get yourself the Three Amigos bundles for tailgating. They make catering easy with a fresh, hot setup. And again, you just call the phone number 803-543-6297 to set it up. You can also look them up online, or you can even download the app. Salsaritas is just a cut above the rest. That's why they're serving Williams-Brice Stadium and the South Stands, also serving in the Colonial Life arenas. Again, that catering hotline number, make it easy for you and the folks out there. You don't need to settle for sandwiches every time. 803-543-6297. 803-543-6297.
Let's play the Fab Five Pick'em contest. Presented by Gamecock Traditions and Salsaritas Fresh Mexican Grill.
Well, that sounds great. And you know what? It'll be nice having a little extra cash to bet on college football. Yeah, I'd like to bet $100.
You want to pick a team?
No, just take it.
Play your Fab Five now in the Chief Sports app and win.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we all went 3-2 last week.
Is that right? All four.
That's
Huh?
yeah.
All four. Okay.
Yeah, it was an interesting week there. We need some separation here.
Well, we have it. Look who's number one.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I mean,
yes,
look, we're all winning money in Vegas.
This is true. We're all above 500.
We need to start changing that expression. We're all winning money in states that you can actually go onto an app and win money.
That's right.
Which
Nobody's getting their kneecaps broken yet.
Yeah,
the virtual Vegas, if you will.
There you go. The virtual Vegas.
By the way, I apologize for dipping out. A freak storm came up and something blew into my yard, and I had to go out there dressed like this and get it up because I mean, because it was it was about to blow all over the damn hell in creation, and so that was interesting. And nobody saw me.
Goodness. Well, we don't want that.
Well, I don't know.
By the way, have you sent us pictures of you in that outfit last night? Did you change or did you go to sleep and wake up in that?
That was Tuesday night, Mike. There was a day between.
Okay, so have you been wearing that for 48 hours?
It would be a whole lot more of a great story if I had held.
I was going to say,
but no. I took it off as soon as I got home.
Okay.
Because frankly, the wig kind of bothers me. It's like I'm a visor guy or a no hat guy, and it's like I can't.
You're good with the lipstick and the dress. It's just the wig that's.
There's the wig, that's the big problem. With lipstick and the dress is very.
That's right, well, JC, have you ordered your DoorDash yet? You gotta go to the door dressed like that and really throw the DoorDash guy for a loop.
Well, that'd be fine and all, but I don't answer the door for DoorDash. That's one of the positive things about the pandemic. I don't have to deal with anybody. Just leave it at my door, please. So I never see anybody. I don't answer the door really for anybody.
Well, they don't want to see people anyway. They'd rather just drop it off.
Yeah.
Out of courtesy, I tell them just drop it off. You don't need to wait for me to answer the door. Just do your thing, drop it off, and go. Extra prop bet. Who scores more on Saturday? JC with his wig or Connor Wigmen? Inquiring minds want to know.
That's gross.
This whole show has been gross. We got a grown man wearing a wig and lipstick. Come on. All right. What's not gross is the delicious, healthy, scrumptious food from Salsaritas. 3 locations in the Midlands, 2 in Columbia, 1 in Lexington. Someone's going to win a $25 gift certificate from the fine folks. Now, if you're going to the game, don't forget they are located West Upper 303 and 304. They're also at every home game at the CLA as well. And whether or not you win this or not, you can get your Fiesta pack, you can get your taco bar. Great for any type of tailgating. Salsaritas, get your Tex-Mex on. with Suki and the gang at Salsaritas. All right, JC's done plenty of bragging about his record. We can take that off the screen now, please, Penis Head. Okay, now you got me saying that. Jesus. Let's go with
the good.
Let's go.
Oh man, open up.
All right, maybe a little. Let's go with the 5 for this week. We'll start with the primo game, and it is the noon kickoff. Ohio State and Penn State, and we'll start with the leader at the clubhouse, number 1 in your hearts, Jamie Bradford.
Yeah, this is so I think it's easy to think that Penn State is going to pull the upset this weekend. But I don't think that that's going to happen. Does anybody realize that Ohio State has only lost once in State College, PA, since Joe Paterno was the coach? That's wild. So I think that they cover the 3.5.
Okay, that sounds like an indictment of James Franklin.
Down the list we go. Mr. Conehead.
Give me I'm gonna hide behind 3.5 points and take Penn State.
I like the way you phrased that.
At home. Yeah, I'm gonna hide behind 3.5 points and take. Here's the thing. Anybody could win this game if it's close in the fourth quarter, and it won't be because of somebody's expert play. It will be because of coaching malpractice. So mark that. If this game's within a score at the end of the, deep into the fourth, then yeah, that's what's going to either win or lose this game for either team.
By the way, Drew Aller has been practicing, although James Franklin is calling it a game time decision.
Yeah,
just a little FYI on this game for everybody out there. But I mean, well, we'll get to my thoughts in a second. Enough about that. The king of late night himself, Byron Allen.
Yeah, Mike. So that hook is definitely enticing, but I've seen Penn State crap the bed in big games far too often. In Big Ten play, and especially under James Franklin, to get over the hump to get to the Big Ten championship, this is a game they have to win. I think that Ohio State had their scare last week, so I'll take Ohio State minus 3.5.
Mrs. Sherbert.
I mean, Nebraska should have beaten Ohio State, but guess what? They screwed up in the red zone. Where have we seen that before?
Yeah. Sound familiar?
I'm with JB. The easy thing would be to jump on the bandwagon and say they'll win. They'll win the game because of recency bias. Ohio State. Penn State's looked awfully good. They looked good out at Southern Cal coming back and winning that one. It was a gut check. I don't know if they're man enough. We're going to find out who's man enough between Ohio State. And Penn State. I read that Ohio. O-H-I-S-O.
The first thing I saw too. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to go back and fix
happens to the best of us. So
O-H-I-S-O. O-H-I-S-O.
I think Ohio State, they got so much talent and so many playmakers. It's a wake up call. Almost losing to a team like Nebraska. And I think we get into this comparing scores. We're like, well, Indiana beat Nebraska 56-7, and then they're not any good. So then they almost beat Ohio State. And then Penn State's at home, so they throw all that out the window because every week is different. And I think Ohio State wins and covers. But last time I said that was the Oregon game, and they lost. So if they don't win this one, I mean, 2 losses in the regular season with this $20 million team. All of you out there that were worried about getting outspent in NIL, what good does it really do you if you're still going to go 10-2? So I'll go, but I'll still think Ohio State has the best roster in the country. So I'm gonna until they totally tank out, I'm still gonna go with them, and I think they'll win.
Are you still talking about Ohio State?
That was a long answer.
We might need to pick this up a little bit.
I didn't look at the clock because I had my break where I had to go fight a windstorm, and I thought it was like 1:40. My bad. I'm sorry.
All right, here I'm going to sure y'all were listening. You know how they do.
Okay. We're gonna cut JC's mic like they did Trump.
Yeah, we're gonna go tempo here. Okay, just two numbers to throw at you. Ryan Day against James Franklin. James Franklin's 0-5 against Blackbeard. James Franklin against Ohio State and Michigan overall 4-16. James Franklin has to start winning some of these games if he wants to remain employed at Penn State. Ryan Day, I don't trust Ryan Day in big games either. So I'm going to take the points. I'm going to hide, to use Conehead there, his terminology. I'm going to hide behind that 3.5, and I'll take Penn State to cover if Drew Aller play. If Drew Aller doesn't play, I'm phoning you guys immediately and changing my pick. But I'll take Penn State to cover the 3.5. Okay, this is one of those. Raise your hand if you saw Auburn a 7-point favorite against Vanderbilt and said, "What? No, that's clearly a typo. Let me refresh my browser." But that is the case. That is the case. So with that in mind, Mushroom Head, what do you think?
Yeah, I did these. I looked. I had to look. As soon as you sent that, I was like, "That's not right."
Yeah, Mike must have had it wrong.
Yeah, I was like, maybe Mike is drinking already, but no,
that's a strong possibility. But
give me Vandy. I mean, listen, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? What do you think we're doing here, Craig Ferguson?
So it looks stinky. It looks smelly. This is one of those that, blindly just seeing this, I would take Auburn -7 because that's evidently what good gamblers do. So I'm going to take Auburn -7. And I think the rationale that I can give is Vanderbilt just fought their hearts out against Texas at home. I've been saying all year that Vanderbilt's eventually going to become Vandy again this season. And look, the rest of their schedule is brutal. So this is maybe that backbreaker game for Vanderbilt. I'm going to take Auburn -7.
The ginger of the Fab Five, JC.
I'm going to go with Auburn as well. And for no other reason than they had to go through the kill zone last year. And so they've seen it before. There's not a lot of element of surprise. Those guys know. I mean, they've probably been working on it. So, big win by them. Big win by them in Kentucky. So I think they'll win it by about 10 points and get everybody excited and then fall on their face later.
Auburn for me. Jamie.
Vandy.
Thought so. Okay. Game 3. It's still a cocktail party. It's still a dumpy stadium. And it's still Florida, Georgia. Georgia's a 16.5-point favorite. Arsenio, what do you think?
Who is that?
That would be you, the king of late night.
Really? Okay.
I mean, Arsenio had a run.
I'm on the show during late night, guys. I can't watch late night, but and I have a 2-year-old. So anyway, on this game, I think that Kirby actually really does care about some games. I think he cares about the Alabama game. He got that monkey off his back. I think Georgia's always has his cocktail party, and I think that Kirby actually cares about this one and runs the score up because he needs flashy scores right now. Just make sure that they stay in that top 6 to 8 through the remainder of the season. I think they lay it on Florida. Give me Georgia -16.5.
Tawny Katane after a weekend bender. What do you think?
Mike Bobo, obviously cares about this game too.
If you don't know who Tawny Katane is, just Google it. That'll make some sense.
It's awesome. I didn't miss a beat. I just tried to,
I know you did. I'm saying for the audience.
The
youngsters.
I think they're right, but Florida also cares about this game, and Florida's given them problems early under Napier. I think though 16.5. I'll go Georgia, but I'm predicting a final score of 30-13. So Georgia will cover by a nose. It'd be kind of like the Georgia-Auburn game is how I see this playing out.
I'll take Florida to cover. Georgia wins the game. TJ Lagway, that is what they're pinning everything on right now. I mean, he's their Lenora Sellers for the next 4 years. Like there's not much to be rejoiceful about in Gainesville. I still think Napier's going to. If anybody thought If you would have bet tomorrow is November 1. If you would have bet November 1 that both Napier and Pittman would still be employed, you could have won a lot of money in Vegas. I still don't think Billy's going to last, but what's the point of firing him now, I think, is the mantra going on over there. So I'll say they cover. They play hard for their coach. Lagway makes a few plays, but they still go down. JB.
Yeah, over about the last 10-plus years, this game's never really a close game. I don't know if anybody has looked at it or not, but it's never a good game. Somebody always gets blown out. With that said, this year the Bulldogs are 2-5 against the spread. Give me Florida just inside the 16.5.
All right.
Yeah, I like Florida's playing with a little bit of spunk. So let's go with the Gators to cover. Yeah, Georgia wins.
Okay. Next up, it's that one of those classic ACC battles that your grandfather used to tell you about. When Pitt and SMU go at it in Dallas, you can throw away the record books. Pitt is a 7.5-point dog to the Mustangs. Tawny.
Is that me, Mike?
No, that's
give me Pitt. What? Everybody's disrespectful.
We told you not have a show.
Pitt's got a good football team. Everybody's disrespectful to these guys. They've won big games on the road before. I know the 20,000 SMU fans will probably be all fired up, but never. Narduzzi's got his own kill zone going up there in the Steelers Stadium. So I'm gonna take Pitt to keep winning, and maybe they'll rank them fairly at some point. Maybe the playoff committee will, because the pollsters sure as hell aren't. I mean, they are 10 spots behind a conference team that's not undefeated, that's played nothing but the Sisters of the Poor. And Pitt has 2 Power 4 wins out of conference. Right. And they're 18th and Clemson's 9th.
We talked about that on JC and Morgan. Also did a deep dive on Pitt's OC and Eli Holstein. A lot of good vibes there. And, of course, SMU's been a great story as well. I'll take Pitt with the points. JB?
Pitt 6-2 against the spread this year. I like that defense. They cover the 7.5.
Cover the 7.5.
Yeah,
I like the hook.
Yeah.
Phallic
give me
symbol
Pitt.
Phil.
Yeah, Pitt.
Phallic Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, the Gamecock prop this week on the Salsaritas Fab Five Challenge. More rushing yards, Lenoris or Marcel Reed? Jamie, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, if you didn't count sack yardage, I'd maybe think about it. But I'll give that to Marcel Reed.
All right. Phallic Phil.
Let's see. I'm Sellers.
Lenoris. All right. Jack Parr. That's you, Matt.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to go with Sellers because there seems to be some ambiguity on who's going to be the starter. And if it's Marcel Reed's game, like we just heard from our friend from our Texas A&M, then I think that you just bet on the safety of Sellers playing the entire game and having more rushing yards.
Peppermint Patty.
Sellers. Sir. No, that's what Marcy said. Probably say my thoughts are the same as Matt's on that.
I'm also going to go with Lenoris Sellers. We know he's going to play all 4 quarters. I'm looking for he breaks one. He
Same.
breaks. Just give me one, Lenoris, and I don't think Reed is going to. I think Reed is going to be in for a rude awakening if he's just going to try and do zone read, and I just don't see it. Maybe I'm just blind to it, but I don't see it.
South
JB.
Carolina defense is too fast, I think.
That's exactly what I'm banking on. Absolutely.
Yeah. If he does others turnovers.
Jamie? Or did we already get to you? We got to you.
My
bad. Okay, tiebreaker real quick. Carolina's longest play from scrimmage. I'll get it started 36.
Oh, okay.
Jamie?
What you got, JB? Oh, from scrimmage or okay, so it can't be like
run or pass, but not a return.
Okay, all right. I was about to say somebody's going to take their shoe off and run down the sideline again.
61 yards.
61. I would have Williams Bryce rocking. Phallic Phil.
I was going to say 57, actually. 57. Mm-hmm.
57 huge plays.
Go 47 and it's a touchdown.
47 touch. Tawny.
I'm going 30.
30. A little conservative.
Phil, do me a favor.
You know what? Just move the chains.
Mm-hmm.
Stay ahead of the chains and
Just,
move the chains.
Pop
That's
the
all it
records
takes.
back up there again before we get out of here.
That's all it takes. There you go.
Anybody
Beautiful.
wondering what to do with their Fab Five picks?
Well, it's because you don't overthink it. That's the thing. It's like the Vanderbilt thing. It's like we're all sitting here overthinking it. I thought that when you went Vanderbilt, I was like, that's the obvious pick. And you're probably going to be
I think
right.
what he's trying to say is, Jamie, you really don't do any analysis or homework. You're just kind of throwing crap into the wind. And I don't know how it's working.
He's
I
got
do the
a
homework
strategy.
that's necessary. I do the
He's like
necessary
Texas
homework.
A&M's offense, dude. He just does what he does well and says stop it. We
You gotta do
can't.
the You got to have a feel, and you got to do what's necessary. That's all you need to do. Think smarter, not harder.
That has been the key to success for many. There's no doubt about that. And,
I'm trying to do both right now.
Yeah, well, you are indeed.
I'm not seeing it.
That concludes the Salsaritas Fab Five Challenge. Don't forget you're playing for $25 gift card to Salsaritas, $25 gift card to the fine folks at Gamecock Traditions. I will remind everybody, too, it's Ribs Night at D's Wings over there in West Columbia. So just saying, if you're in the Midlands.
By the way, JC and Phil, he said D's Wings, not nuts.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Phil's got enough nuts to worry about right now.
I've got a bowl of them.
Sure you do.
Indeed. All right, we wrapping this bad boy up, Jamie?
Big old
let's
bowl
hope.
of nuts. Oh, yeah.
Where is that music?
Phil said, I don't wrap anything up.
Nice.
Oh, I do wish everybody the happiest of Halloweens. Have a safe and wonderful time trick-or-treating wherever you may be. Final parting shots, gentlemen.
I wanted to just say, Titan put something in the chat box about Kenny Trill being in the Muschamp era.
That was Spurrier.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the. You can call that the beginning.
Can't blame
of the
everything
end.
on Will Muschamp.
Yeah, that was
people
one you
want
could.
to.
So
you can't blame everything on him.
and then want to thank our new member Colin, new member
Yeah,
of Club
what's up,
Chief,
Colin?
to getting there. Again, you can get into the chat box on ITG with the membership.
RLE?
And it's awesome. RLE is the Holy Mother of God.
I got the wrong show.
It's Halloween, dude. Hi, RLE.
Last thing I'll say is y'all have a good show tomorrow. I won't be on, but if you're in the PD area, come to the Pecan Festival in Florence, South Carolina, Saturday. We'll have about 40,000 people descending on the small town of Florence, South Carolina. I'll be there pouring beer, so come grab some. And then I'll be at the game later on.
I was about to say, Matt.
Matt pouring.
Yeah, I
beer.
got to work there till 12, and then got to volunteer every once.
Oh, okay, till noon. Well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the
You
wing
hear that,
tasting
Phil?
contest?
Phil, you hear that? Free nuts in Florence.
All me turgid.
Thanks to David Nuño, Perry Orth, Mike Morgan, and Matt Anderson. And always a special thanks to Mad Dog, Cone Penis Head Monax, and his girlfriend, JC Exotic. Luckily, this will all be over in a few seconds, folks. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 on ITG.